morning, everybody. It is August 10th, Monday, August 10th to be exact. Year of our Lord, 2026. And you're not only invited, but you are locked and loaded. Rumble.com/LFATV, also simulcasting over on YouTube. You can go to LFATV US to also watch live. And we are broadcasting this Live from America show from the Hawkeye state of Iowa, where we are trending more red than ever before. Want to give you a big shout out if you're watching, and please put your hands together for the one, the only, he's back. Producer Eli, how are we doing today on this Marine Monday, my friend?
Semper Fi, baby. What's going on, LFA TV family and Patriots? Missed you all. Had a great time over the weekend. I'm a little bit worse for the wear, but everything went fun. Had a great time with Liz. You know, we partied, maybe a little too hard. But anyway, all that aside, hit the Rumble button, hit the share button, because we got to get a big crowd in here. We got a lot of news to get to. We're going to stop wasting time talking to me. Let's go.
Yeah, I saw Liz trying to ride that same mechanical bull I did. Lasted a little longer, too, than I did. Redline Live is in the building. How you doing? Make sure you follow him on TikTok. Amanda Collins, Joe Bow, LJ Sin, Bowling Fan, Angel, Fun Mom, Eileen, Suzanne Vermontis in the building, GR Messick, T-Man, Logan is here, Armspear, my fellow Iowan. How you doing today? We've got Barb Naylor in the building. Katz is here. Erica Falkenberry is here. Denise, how you doing? Hope's 1972, Barb Naylor. Arrow Pink is here. Fins Up is in the live chat. This live chat's going fast, guys. Can barely catch a name. Masshole is in the building. Gotta love Mass, right? Mary, how you doing? Good to see you. Yamain is here. C. Ward is in the building. And one more, let's give it to, how about Casey Maga, another fellow Iowan. Let me jump over to YouTube real quick, say hello to some of the people over there. Of course, we got Brian in there, Mr. Good Citizen, Andy Arsenal, Anthony Land Echo is in the building over there. We've got Penguin Prism in the live chat. Forever Roaming in the live chat over there. And Jason Beaches. Good morning to all of you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is a Monday. You know what we do? I have to say, Eli, the last one who hits that like button or that Rumble button here on Rumble is a rotten egg. And you don't want to be a rotten egg, and you'll smell like a Democrat. And who wants to have that smell on them wherever they go? So, do not forget, reach down, hit that Rumble button, or if you're on that YouTube channel, just hit the thumbs up. Or if you really, really dislike us, make sure you hit it twice. That's the best thing that you can do. Give us a double thumbs down. www, World Wide Web, remember when they called it that, Eli? .lfatv.us, that is the one-stop shop for everything live from America. From watching current and past shows to short clips to shopping on our store, which I think we have one of the most abundant stores that there is. We've been collecting different designs over the years, still got a lot of them left. Check out the LFATV store. Become a one-time or a monthly donor. We are about 30% of our monthly recurring donation needs. So if God weighs it on your heart, or if you want to, help a little bit else, help out a little bit more, you can. Click on the news section and go to the newsletter. Hollywood says, get ready to be angry at me. I don't care. Heading to Crowder anyway. Pay your bills. Pay Zach. You owe money. Pay the man. Eli, I've been wanting to address this. I've been seeing this all over the internet as if everybody knows how LFA TV works when it comes to the hosts. All right, Hollywood, are you ready, bud? Here we go. First of all, you're listening to a drunk who clearly has issues. Number two, ask Pete, ask Mike, ask anybody who's ever left LFA TV. If there's been any money owed to them for their time as a host here, they get it 10 days after their last day. And that's because when we had hosts first starting here, they didn't have cameras and stuff. So we had to get the LFA family to pitch in to get them cameras and equipment. And they have 10 days after their last day to return that equipment if they have it. So it's an automatic 10-day. When we tell our accountant, hey, people are leaving, take them off any payroll that they get for being a host of the show here. And after that 10-day period, they get whatever's owed to them, whether it's $1 or whether it's a $500. Today's the 10th day of the month. So sometime this week, anybody that was released or left LFA TV will get whatever they have coming from them in the way of, or to them, in the way of donations or in the way of even pay. That's how it works here. So sometime this week, Zach will get whatever's owed to him. Not that it's any of your business, or not that it's any of anybody's business, unless they ask. So to spread falsehoods and misinformation like that probably is the reason why he's only doing a show for 30 people now. Okay? To be honest with you, I could have said, hey, the man is out there acting like a fool, defamation of character like crazy. There is no signed agreement between anybody. Everybody here that's ever been here is a handshake agreement. And you ask anybody who's left, from Mike to Pete, what is our handshake agreement policy? Not a single person who's ever left LFA can ever tell you they did not get what was coming to them. Not once. But when you're dealing with a drunk and a person who doesn't really have a life, this is what they do. It's okay. I'm not mad at you. Why would I be mad at you? Again, not that it's any of your business, but that is the business. Eli, you're a man of truth and a man of God. Am I wrong?
No, absolutely not. We've had times here where I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, Zach is a perfect example. I don't know where all this is coming from.
Me neither.
This is the most confusing thing to me in the entire world. Jeremy has privied me to the entire conversation. I've seen the back and forth. And I'm not going to say anything ill of him. Zach's whatever, decent dude, but he took things the wrong way, and here we are.
That's exactly it. Can you change your time? No. We need you to change your time. I'm not changing my time. Well, we are changing your time. Well, if you're changing my time, I'm leaving. It's 8 or 9 live or nothing. Well, then I guess it has to be nothing because we have to change your time. I've had to change times. Paul has had to change times. Mike has had to change times. Sean has had to change times. That's what happens. So here we are. For everybody, not that that was anybody's business. That's not news, and we're here to do the news. But since you wanted to bring it up, there you go. There you go. I don't know what he's complaining about. It is what it is. We got bigger fish to fry in America than a drunk who thinks that somebody isn't paying him money that he feels he's owed. And that's where we are. So, would everybody agree that at that time, that the Paul Harrell program is a far better fit for live from America news outlet rather than, hey guys, I just rolled out of bed. Let's see what's on the internet today and talk about it. Sorry, this is a news program. This is a news outlet. And that is what happens. And then the last but not least I'll put up is Eli. If he did this to me, he can do it to all of you. Yeah, because I'm the boss. And that's how a business works. Everywhere. Eli, I'll give you the last word on this, and then we're going to do the news.
Yeah, you're totally right, dude. And another thing, I can't remember who it was exactly, but somebody had gotten in the chat a few days ago, like when this was still fresh and it had just happened, and said, Jeremy can't do this. What the hell are you talking about? It's his business, and he needs to run the business the way he sees fit. You shouldn't have any emotional investment one way or another if somebody leaves the show, especially if they're still broadcasting. You can go watch them. I'm not saying, screw you, don't watch this show, go freaking watch them. I'm just saying you still have the option to go see them. It shouldn't matter to you one way or another if they're on this network or if they're doing their own thing. That's my word.
That's pretty much it, folks. That's pretty much it. And not a single person that's ever left LFA could tell you any different. So, having said that, moving right along to things that actually matter, like life in America. How many people, and I had a really good intro for you, but since, somebody had to do a drive-by accusation like that, you know how we do it here. We address pretty much everything because we feel like we're all in this together. So I addressed it. Now, when Tony Fauci pled the fifth 111 times, the one thing that we kept hearing from the left is Donald Trump pled the fifth also in court. Donald Trump pled the fifth in court against accusations that he did something wrong, and they couldn't even find anything wrong, so they had to change the law to try to convict him. That's a little bit different than pleading the fifth in a congressional hearing on science. Science is science. I understand completely that Tony Fauci pled the fifth based on anything that might incriminate him. But do you know what would never incriminate him? Science. Science is science. Now, is science right all the time? No. As a matter of fact, science gets proven wrong quite often when we come, privy to more information. However, it wasn't like we weren't privy to the information about how to let a virus run its course and how to deal with an outbreak of a flu pandemic. We were privy to the information on how should we handle that. We didn't do that. Trump wanted to do that, as talked about in Tony Fauci's diary. Tony Fauci didn't want to do that. And that's why he went around President Trump and went to the governors himself, which Dr. Birx even threw Tony Fauci under the bus about, but also verified in his own diary. So, after he pled the fifth 111 times on the science, not all 111 times, but a good 80 of those questions, it made me think about this. Who remembers the 2012, or not the 20, the Olympic opening ceremonies? Does everybody remember this? Watch this. Funny thing about that is we saw a lot of that kind of theater during 2020 and 2021 and 2022. We saw nurses doing TikTok dances, right? Eli, the funny thing about that was in 2012. That was 7.5 years prior to when the pandemic first started. So Eli, you talked about this a lot, about predictive programming and about movies. And it's almost like it's weird because you'll see something in a movie and then 10 years later, that kind of stuff is happening. And and I know you've joked around and said before, it's almost like they have to tell you before they do it, like it's an unwritten rule. But that was 7 years prior to the pandemic.
Yeah, dude, from what I've read, they have to tell us what they're doing because it's like a cleansing of their soul. They have to tell the truth for some specific weird reason, but they do it through entertainment. They do it through the Super Bowl performances. They do it through concerts all the time. I don't know how I missed that one. I'm sure I probably saw it, but just seeing that now, I just thought to myself, wow, that is absolutely sick, disgusting, and terrifying.
Well, hold on. The crazy thing about that is, too, Eli, is not 2 years after that, a year and a half after that, is when Tony Fauci's pardon goes back to. Now, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here or anything and say, well, 2 + 2 = 11. But what I am saying is I think it's kind of we say there's no coincidences, right? It's kind of a coincidence that in 2012, they were doing dances and theater performances very reminiscent of 2019, 20, and 21, and even parts of 22. And hell, we're still seeing residuals of it today with people wearing their masks in their car. And then a year and a half later, Tony Fauci's pardon goes back to that point. Tony Fauci was not working on the pandemic relief. He wasn't working on the COVID vaccine or the COVID-19 guidelines. No, this was years beforehand. Then, not a year and a half later, Tony Fauci begins gain-of-function research using American taxpayer dollars at the Wuhan viral lab, where they're testing on, different kinds of strains and viruses and, vaccines, potential vaccines for potential outbreaks. Well, in order to create a potential vaccine for a potential outbreak, you've got to create the potential outbreak in a controlled setting before you create the potential vaccine. So you can't do gain-of-function research on that level in the United States of America. It's against the law. So he goes and does it in Wuhan. And this is where Francis Collins becomes involved. Francis Collins was the boss of Tony Fauci at NIAID. Okay? Tony Fauci also worked with the NIH. And they did this using taxpayer dollars. And then this is starting to circulate around the internet. And if you go to the Florida Attorney General, Attorney General Youthmeyer, what he says is, look, and I understand his careful wording here, but you understand what he's saying. Let's play the video.
Does that touch Florida state law or not?
It does not. I don't know why you need a pardon if you didn't do anything wrong. Dr. Fauci clearly doesn't want to answer questions, but the American people still have a lot of questions, especially Floridians. So I thank Senator Rand Paul for continuing the search for truth, and revelations over the last couple of weeks have revealed a lot. He did not believe a lot of the mandates and protocols that he was pushing. He doubted safety and efficacy of the so-called medical treatments, yet nevertheless forced them on the American people. They've been injured. There's deception. We're going to search for accountability and do everything we can in Florida under our state laws.
So you now have subpoenaed Fauci as part of this investigation, and you're looking into potential self-dealing or profiting from COVID-era policies. Are you saying he took money or new jobs, and that's why he was not saying what he truly believed?
We are most certainly looking, using every tool under Florida law, to figure out what kind of self-dealing was going on. Government officials, they have a lot of immunities under the law. We've got an uphill battle, but where there's monetary value increases and somebody's going aside from their state job or their government job to do book deals, to seek awards to the tune of millions of dollars, that's a problem. Where you have deception and injury and somebody is making a lot of money on the side, there needs to be accountability. So, yeah, we're going to clearly look into this a lot further. And if indeed he's making a lot of money off of this big COVID lie, he should pay for it.
Bottom line, do you believe Fauci committed a crime?
This is where he should have said yes.
I can't say that right now. We follow rules of procedure and evidence. I could say generally, I think what he did to the American people was horrific. People died because of him. People got hurt because of him. People couldn't be there for the birth of their first child or the loss of a loved one because of him. And if he is making money on the side while perpetrating this fraud, there could very well be criminal liability. But we're going to start with civil, criminal, everything from public nuisance to deceptive trade to fraud. We're going to look at every aspect of Florida law and do everything in our power to seek truth and accountability.
And I know you said that the pardon that Biden put in place does not affect Florida state law or any state law. But what about the DOJ? Do you think that the DOJ has found any paperwork, or is there any evidence that links Biden to the pardon? Did he actually sign the pardon, or was it an auto pen? And can the pardon be challenged?
I certainly think there are legal questions around the use of the auto pen, whether or not President Biden actually knew what was happening, if there was agency there to execute these things. I know the Department of Justice is looking at this. We're happy to help them however needed. And there could be liability for various things at the federal level. But we're going to focus on the state level. I've been doing meetings with multiple senators in their offices. They've committed to gathering evidence and getting everything to us so that we can do the best job we can to find transparency and accountability for the people of Florida and Americans generally. And I'm grateful to other attorneys general out there that want to work with us on this, and I hope more will come to the table.
So do I. And here's what I'll say to those people who say this is all in the past, just like January 6th, just like the 2020 election. Drop it already, you guys. You guys are reaching and grasping at straws. Well, then I want to hear that same thing when it comes to E. Jean Carroll. I want to hear that same thing as when it comes to your views as January 6th. I want to hear that same exact sentiment coming from you when it talks about how Donald Trump tried to push through Operation Warp Speed and gave us the vaccine. Oh, he gave us the vaccine. Stop reliving that moment too. Everything is in the past. Every crime that has ever been committed happens, and then hopefully there's some accountability for it sometime down the line. I don't have any faith that the accountability will be at the federal level. How can it be? He's got a pardon. And I'll ask this, if you're not guilty of something, then you don't need a pardon. Because if you believe in the rule of law and you believe that the judicial system will work its way out and you believe it's not corrupt, as you say it isn't, well, then if you didn't do a crime, you shouldn't need a pardon. And you should not plead the fifth when you have that pardon because there's no way you can incriminate yourself. Now, if you wanted to stop yourself from getting a perjury charge, then plead the fifth on that stuff. But don't plead the fifth on the science. The reason why the science was pled the fifth that he pled the fifth on the science is because he said too many different things when it came to the science. After he already knew that it was false. He knew that the vaccine did not stop COVID-19 from infecting or spreading. He knew that. They also knew that masks didn't do anything but harm. They weakened our society, if anything. He knew that too. And he wrote all this down in his diary, of which there are plenty of people that are mad that that diary's been put out. Plenty of people. Even Bill Maher. Bill Maher, who seems to be one of the most level-headed, common sense people when it comes to trans and COVID stuff, and the way that the left is actually functioning like a fascist regime. But even he came out and had a problem with Ted Cruz and the senators for releasing Tony Fauci's diary. Okay, what's the problem there? The guy's a public servant. He's making more money than the president of the United States of America still today. This was all planned and started in 2014. And I believe, if you want my personal opinion, actually, if you want my personal and professional opinion, I believe it was released, not found its way and leaked out. I believe it was released. And I think you guys can all surmise what I believe beyond that of why it was released. All right? All right. That's going to do it for our opening segment today. Producer Eli, before we get to the Lord in prayer, we do have a couple birthdays. I believe we have Echo Bella and Sandra. 2 birthdays, Echo Bella and Sandra.
Well, let's see what we can do for them. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Echo Bella and Sandra. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Absolutely. Happy birthday. Let's go from that beautiful birthday song to the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. See a lot of happy birthdays in the live chat to both. Eli, are we getting those same birthday sentiments over on YouTube? Or is it just doom and gloom over there still? I'm almost afraid to look.
Let me see. Happy birthday. Mine's in 9 days from Bear the Mollass. Happy birthday, I'll just say that. But yeah, I've been checking back and forth. 90% of everybody over there is like, oh, screw this, Epstein, Trump, blah, 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 blah. But happy birthday to that one guy.
Yeah. Well, and happy birthday to everybody here on Rumble. There's a lot of nice people in Rumble. I saw a lot of amens and happy birthdays here. So God bless you guys here on Rumble. All right, first slurp of the day. We got a lot of news to get through. A very busy weekend. So let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, John Thune is not only a traitor turncoat to the Republican Party, but I am fully invested in the opinion that John Thune is not a Republican at all. And I don't even like to call these people rhinos. But that's exactly what they are. They are Republican in name only. But in John Thune's case, it goes way deeper than that. John Thune, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, your old guard at the Senate, your Peter Welches, your Bernie Sanders, these old guard people on both sides of the aisle, they're not Democrats and they're not Republicans. They're neither. They're not independents. They think of themselves above you. CC says, why is the GOP not united? Because the GOP's dead. That's why. The grand old party is dying out. The MAGA Republican Party is now in effect. And we have about 5 more on both sides that need to just go. I was talking with my wife about this last night, how some of these individuals, like your Chuck Schumers, like your Mitch McConnells, like your Nancy Pelosi's, they've been in office longer than most kings and queens ruled empires, kingdoms, longer than most emperors ruled empires in the history of the world. Why on God's green earth did the founding fathers not put term limits in the Constitution for everybody who serves office? I mean, they must have known that corruption was going to come. Why do you think we have the Second Amendment? The Second Amendment addresses all that. Protect yourself from the tyranny of one's own government. So why in the heck aren't there term limits put in the Constitution for everyone? I'll never know. And the minute that I get to D.C., I'm introducing that in a bill. That will be my bill. The term limit bill. And it needs to happen. I think both sides can agree. John Thune is a product of that not Democrat, not Republican, uniparty behind closed doors. Let's keep us in power by dividing everybody out there and not doing the will of the people. This whole thing with the Save America Act is the most eye-opening experience for anybody who's never been dedicated to politics. Okay? And here's what I'll say to that. You've got 80% plus of Democrat voters. One part of our major political parties in this country. You've got 80% of them and over 90% of Republicans, voters, people like you and me, wanting only Americans to vote and voter ID. That doesn't mean they want all of the stuff in the Save America Act. That doesn't mean that the Democrats don't want the boys and women's sports. That doesn't mean that they want, 1 day for voting. That doesn't mean that they want mail-in ballots, stopped. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that 80% of Democrats want the SAVE Act passed. They don't. But 80% of Democrats do want only American citizens voting and voter ID. So let me ask you, because I believe that this SAVE Act is going to have to be broken up because of John Thune. Let me ask you, would you be okay if only parts of the SAVE Act got through? And if so, which parts would you be okay with? So now that I've asked that question, let me ask myself that question. Would I be okay if only parts of the Save America Act passed? Yes, because I live in reality. What parts do I want to be passed? whether they go through reconciliation, which only needs 50, or whether they go through something else, a must-pass bill. It would be only citizens vote, voter ID, and same-day voting. You can deal with the mail-in ballots in another way. You can put that in a completely different bill if you need to. But same-day voting, only citizens voting, and voter ID in every state for federal elections. If those are the only three that could be chopped up and thrown through resolution, I'd take it. But that's not even happening. Because John Thune is a turncoat, uniparty liar. And he just sent the Senate home on a 37-day recess. But, ready for this? Schedules 11 pro forma sessions in order to block Trump from making recess appointments. Do you guys know what pro forma sessions are? If you don't know what a pro forma session is, it basically keeps a number of senators, one or a rotating amount of senators in D.C. that are willing to stay. And what they'll do is they'll gavel in session the Senate. And then they'll gavel out of session immediately. And what that does is that right there officially makes it so President Trump cannot have any recess appointments. They're doing it again. So I showed you those statistics a couple weeks ago of how many recess appointments Barack Obama got, how many recess appointments Joe Biden got, how many recess appointments George Bush got, how many recess appointments Bill Clinton, George Bush Sr., and Ronald Reagan got. I went all the way back to the 80s. Trump is the only one that gets none. Why? So when you're looking at John Thune, you've got to say, okay, I understand, I don't agree with it, but I understand your fight on the filibuster. You want to be this staunch conservative and you don't want to, do something just because somebody else is going to do it when they get power. I could understand that if he really held that to as an integrity measure. You know what I mean? If that was his real moral compass, I wouldn't agree with it. I'd still call him weak, but I could understand it. And in some ways, I could respect it. ZRX said Thune passed all appointments before they left. No, he didn't. Thune passed a bunch of appointments before they left, but not all. And even if he did pass all people that were nominated, which he didn't, but even if he did, that doesn't mean that President Trump might decide, I'm getting rid of this person and I want to appoint this person as interim, or I want to appoint this person in that time frame in the recess session, or non-session, I should say. And maybe I want to appoint somebody else as that. Maybe I don't want to go through all this. Maybe I don't want to go through the months and months and months of waiting for somebody to get through. Maybe somebody's not doing a good job today and I want him gone and I want to put somebody else in that place. I should have the power to do that during recess. But I don't, because John Thune is not only not pushing the Save America Act through at all, not even putting it on a House or on the Senate floor vote so that we can at least have people step up on how they want to vote. So we can at least take an official tally, right? Hold them accountable. He's not only not doing that, but he's making it so President Trump can't do his executive power right while the while they're out of session. Cardino Doctor says they bypassed Carrie Lake again for her ambassador to Jamaica. What's up with that? Yep. Yes, they did. That's one. This guy is the epitome of deep state. He's the epitome of DC establishment. And we've got him on both sides. Isn't the SAVE Act already there in the Constitution? Yes, it is. 100%. But in 2026, apparently we need a reinforced law. The Constitution tells us that only U.S. citizens should vote. Okay, well then it's going to take two things. It's either going to take a reinforced law dedicated to specifically that, even though it's already in 18 U.S. Code something. Can't even think off the top of my head. But even though it's in there, apparently we need a reinforced law focusing on just that, or we need the DOJ to actually enforce the constitutional law. The Constitution is the law of the land. Nothing supersedes it. Nothing. Somebody else made a good point too. We also can't appoint any judges during that time. That's exactly right. So it is a spit in the face from John Thune. Well, who else is involved? Well, there's a number of establishment people, and here's the worst part about it. Some of their names we don't even know. But there's this big effort right now. Tim Scott was talking about it. I heard Tim Scott talking about the parliamentarian. Well, the parliamentarian's got to okay it. The parliamentarian's got to okay this being split up into different bills, and the parliamentarian's the one that calls the shots on what goes to the Senate floor. Well, here's the thing. John Thune himself, without anybody else's help, without anybody in the establishment, without any other rhinos behind closed doors, John Thune himself can fire the parliamentarian. That parliamentarian goes all the way back to Harry Reid and Barack Obama. No, she's not going to put things on the Senate floor. Why is an unelected bureaucrat who was appointed years ago by 2 Democrats, of which he can fire today? John Thune could literally make a video today and say, I fire the Senate parliamentarian officially. And guess what? That Senate parliamentarian would be fired. It's that simple. But he won't do it. So why? That's what you got to ask yourself. This man is a coward, a liar, a cheater, a thief, a turncoat to the Republican Party, and absolutely not what he is. And I'll tell you what, if Democrats were experiencing something like this on their side, they would do and say the same thing. And I don't have to have that as an opinion. We can look at that as a matter of fact. Let's look no further than Senator John Fetterman. Senator John Fetterman has ridden with the Democrats on the most staunch issues. But the few times that he's gone against his Democrat voters, his Democrat Party, the Democrats formed a PAC in Pennsylvania, and they're funneling as much money as they can to it to try to defeat John Fetterman in his next Senate race and already build up another character in his stead, even though he's quite popular. Now, Amy says, doesn't Trump act like he's doing great? Trump did act like he was doing great up until recently. And the reason for that is diplomacy. Now, I know that's a word that we normally use when we're talking about geopolitical discussions, but diplomacy. He wants to keep everybody happy. He wants to keep everybody on the same page and not have anybody feel like they're attacked. The minute you attack somebody, they're not going to do something for you. Unlike me, I continue to do things for people who attack me all the time. But in Congress, that's not going to happen. So, Amy, while I'll agree with you, I think Trump should be going nuclear on these people in front of cameras. That's why. But he has been kind of switching that up. Absolutely. Here are the 11 pro forma sessions that are going to be held today at 10 a.m. That already happened. Thursday, August 13th, 8 a.m. Monday, August 17th, 1:30 p.m. Thursday, August 20th, 11:30 a.m. Monday, August 24th, 12:30 p.m. Thursday, August 27th, 8 a.m. Monday, August 31st, 11:30 a.m. Tuesday, September 1st, 12:30 p.m. Friday, September 4th, 10 a.m. Tuesday, September 8th, 1:15 p.m. Thursday, September 10th, 3 p.m. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep track of every single senator that gavels in a pro forma session. Now, if he's threatened them with something, like, I'm going to take you away from your committee if you don't go in and do that pro forma session for me, well, then I would get on camera. Let's say, hypothetically, I'm one Senator Josh Hawley. Okay? I'm one Senator Josh Hawley, and Josh Hawley, who has gavelled in a pro forma session before, this is one of the reasons why we started, speaking louder against Josh Hawley, which then he became part of the Republicans that said we need to stay and not go on recess, so we'll give him that. But we need to keep track of these people. And if anybody is threatened with something like taking away their committee chairmanship, taking away their committee spot, or whatever it is, or giving them a worse office, I would go on video, I would say that to my constituents, and then I would say, why doesn't he show the same kind of leadership to those who won't vote for the Save America Act? That's what I would say. These people can't be gaveling in pro forma sessions because they want to. They can't be just going, I'll do it. I want to be the one. Give me the job. I want to do it. They can't be saying that. No, he's got to be telling them, you'll be doing a pro forma session gaveling on this day. You'll be doing a pro forma session gathering gaveling in on this day. And if it's not him, then it's the parliamentarian. Somebody is scheduling these people out. I will guarantee you that not everybody that's doing it wants to do it. So make a video. Be transparent. Stop being scared. If it costs you a chairmanship, then show why. If it costs you a committee spot, show why. If they move your office or if they excommunicate you in any way, then put that out there. You're a senator. You have a voice, a big voice. People will listen to you. And then again, I would couple that with, why isn't the leader using these same kind of leadership tactics in order to get people to vote for secure elections rather than disciplining me for not gaveling in a pro forma session, which I don't believe that he should be doing every single time and denying President Trump any kind of recess appointment power. Pay attention to who gavels in these sessions. We will, and we'll report it to you. Now, going back to the Democrats, who I said if something like this was happening on the left, they would say the same thing. Who remembers Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin? Raise your hand in the live chat if you remember those two names. Kyrsten Sinema was a senator from Arizona. Joe Manchin was a senator from West Virginia. Both of these guys said no to killing the filibuster. The Democrats tried to kill the filibuster. They had every vote but two. And those two votes were Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. Where are they now? Eli, it's like that John Travolta meme, you know, with his long hair from Pulp Fiction. Where are they now? They're nowhere to be found in D.C. They're gone because the Democrats pushed them out. Exactly. That's exactly the meme. Right there. Where are they now? Gone. So yes, we know the Democrats, you guys shouldn't be yelling at us for this. You guys shouldn't be going, oh, what's the matter? You MAGA people. No, you guys had the same issue and you did get rid of those senators. You mean to tell me that Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin both wanted to retire? Yeah, we've been here too long. No, they got pushed out. Same way they're trying to do John Fetterman. Unfortunately for them, John Fetterman's too much of an ogre to understand that you fall in line when you're part of the Democrat Party. The other thing is, I don't think they've got anything on John Fetterman. You know what I mean? What are they going to do? Attack a guy who had a stroke and who can't talk without a device? Folks, we got 3,400 live watching here on Rumble. Got over 100, I think, watching over on YouTube. So big shout out to all you guys watching. We appreciate you. We are currently sitting at number 4 on the live leaderboard, behind Crowder, Bannon, and We Know. We are ahead of Badlands Media and Real America's Voice News. So we thank you guys for continuing to share and get the word out there. Now, Majority Leader John Thune, this is the moment he did it. Forced the Senate to August recess without the Save America Act. Mike Lee and Ashley Moody were among those yelling at the top of their lungs, objecting. Objecting out loud. I move to adjourn. I move to adjourn. I mean, he moved to adjourn. More of the GOP senators should have stayed and pushed that fight other than Ashley Moody and Mike Lee. I can tell you that. Because there's more that agree with Ashley and Mike, but they're not. They're not. They're not. I'm not saying they're not agreeing with them. That should have took all of them. All 20 senators, 20 plus now, senators, should have been screaming at the top of their lungs inside that Senate room, on that floor, with John Thune going to recess. 37 days. Hey, Eli, can I ask you a question? You've had a few jobs in your life. This is your latest, clearly, thanks to the great LFA audience. Have you ever had 37 days off on one of many vacations in a year?
You serious?
You serious? Now, I get it. When you are an elected official, whether it be the Senate or the Congress, just because you get sent home doesn't mean that you're not doing your job. Okay? You still have to be a representative of your state. I'm not saying that if a Senate or a House, adjourns and goes into a recess, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. You shouldn't be working in D.C. 365 days a year. You should come home and report back to your constituents what's going on there, what you're doing, what you're trying to do. Get more of what your constituents want. Come back and introduce more bills. That's what you should do. I'm not saying that going on recess is wrong. But going on recess when there's job to be done, when there's work that needs to be done, when a majority of Americans are calling for you to do something and you're not doing it, then it becomes a problem.
Adjourn pursuant to the previous order.
The question's on the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. No. The ayes have it. The motion's agreed to.
Good job, everybody. Look at all the ayes. Good job, everybody. Good job. Good job what? Good job gaveling in a recess? How about good job when you pass a bill? How about good job when you do the will of the people that voted you in, scumbags? How about say good job when you do the will of President Trump's agenda, which we overwhelmingly voted for, popular and electorally? Like, this is the stuff that gets me. You mean to tell me you think John Thune is going to go home and address his constituents? His state hates him. He'll never win again. Good job. I really hate the way they think that the microphones are off, and then you hear him, good job. Remember when Mike Pence was rubbing elbows, literally, with Nancy Pelosi? Remember that? And Joe Biden, because it was COVID, they were rubbing elbows? They handed Mike Pence a coin, a commemorative coin. Good job, Mike. We knew you could do it. JJ said, I worked at the NSA during one of the government shutdowns. Do y'all know what happened? Tell us, JJ. Tell us. We'd love to hear. Marty Gary says, makes you ask, why vote Republican again? Do you really need to ask that question? As bad as the Republican Party is, here's a rule to live by. The worst Republican is still better than the best Democrat when you're talking about policy and lawmaking and bill introducing. The worst Republican out there is still better than the best Democrat. That's why you still vote your party. And a no vote is a vote for the left. It's just what it is. It's reality, folks. It is your civic duty to vote. It's also your right not to vote. But guess what? If you choose that right, if you go that route not to vote, then you're putting yourself right back in the position of having complete open borders again. I'll tell you why to vote Republican. The border's closed. There you go. End of reasoning. The border's completely closed. But I get what you're saying. I 100% get what you're saying. But to be one of those people that say, the Republicans deserve this. You think the Republicans are going to be the ones crying? They're still getting the best health care. They still got a great paying job. They still get travel absolutely included and free. They're going to be living just fine. Do you think by not voting Republicans that you're going to hurt the Republican Party? You hurt America. That's what you hurt. You think these Republicans, if they lose to Democrats, are going to be like, damn it, I'm done? No. They're going to stay working. They're going to stay in D.C. They're going to stay in the swamp. That's what they do. But if you don't vote for a Republican or you vote for a Democrat, that border opens right back up. And so does USAID, and so does trillions of dollars in taxpayer money over the next decade going to funnel more Democrats. So I can give you many reasons, border being the number one. That's it. Remember, the Republican Party sucked before Trump came in. Trump is the one who's trying to reform it, change it. You might not like everything he's doing, neither do I. But tell me somebody better. Now, Randy Fine of Florida. He's running against Dan Blizarin. Dan will be destroyed. Regardless, I don't agree with everything Randy Fine says. I'm not Jewish. But policy-wise, he's on point.
It took 60 days for the Senate to pass the Voting Rights Act in the 60s to make sure every American had the right to vote. It's worth them sitting there for 60 days and letting Democrats talk about how they don't want people to show photo ID in order to make sure only Americans can vote. So I think what's holding them up is the willingness to do the work that the American people voted for them to do. I'm certainly willing to do it, and if they're not, they should find someone else who is.
Well, but we knew that the calendar was going to be tight for Leader Thune going in, because with just that short amount of window, and you know, at the end of the day, he made his choices. But the Senate held one vote early Saturday morning on a voter ID bill, but Democrats then voted against it, and that blocked it from that 60-vote threshold. Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn joined Maria on Sunday on the need to break up the Save America Act to just get it passed. Watch what she said.
That's what I've been saying.
Maria, as you and I have talked, we think we're going to have to break the Save America Act into pieces, take them one at a time. The interesting thing was every single Democrat voted against showing an ID, even though 83% of the American people and 71% of all Democrats think you ought to have to show that ID. But we're committed to still doing this. You show an ID, you prove that you're a citizen, and my bill, which incentivizes states to check their voter roll against that DHS SAVE system, which is the listing of people that are in the country but are not citizens. And as we saw in New Jersey, who claimed they had no problem with non-citizens voting, they had 6,600 people that they admitted were registered to vote who are not citizens.
Recent Fox News polling finds 83% of registered voters support showing a valid ID when registering to vote. 77% support showing valid ID. So, Congressman,
break it up. Break it up. Put it in a. This is what the Democrats do. Where do you think that money for this CO2 pipeline in Iowa that they want to build is coming from? It's coming from a 7-year-old failed bill that got broken up and pieced into other bills that was passed in 2021. It's a 5-year-old bill at this point that the money is still sitting there, billions of dollars, lucrative contracts with people who want to just grab it and take it and run. That's what they do. So do the same thing. Break it up. And again, I didn't say Randy Fine was the greatest thing next to sliced bread, but he was absolutely correct in what he just said right there. And again, he's still better than Dan Blizzard, who skipped every leg day known to man in the gym that he continues to go to. When your arms are bigger than your legs, you have a problem. When your moral compass is where Dan's is, you have a problem. He won't beat Randy Fine. And that's not even me saying that I'd like to have Randy. I'm not a Floridian. I really don't care who's representing me. But I do care the Republican Party as a whole, the new MAGA party. Dan isn't MAGA. Not at all. Randy is. But he still loves him anything he can get to make Israel better. So I see that there's problems in both. But I'd still take Randy Fine 1 billion times a day over Dan Blizzard because he votes for Trump's bills, for Trump's policies and Trump's agenda through bills that he and other people introduce or vote on. So, again, I'll say it. The worst Republican is still better than the best Democrat. Okay? Now, big shout out to James O'Keefe. He did it again, folks. Dropping a key bombshell exposing the non-citizens from Iran who were allowed to vote in Michigan's primary. This right here should make that primary null and void. They should have to redo it with the federal government's oversight. Here we go.
If I'm not a U.S. citizen, it's okay for me to vote. All I know is you're registered to vote here. As long as I'm registered, I can vote, right? Yes. Perfect.
OMG has discovered multiple non-citizens from Iran registered to vote for the 2026 Michigan primary elections. The local police told us that this is an abandoned building, September 8th. Hello. Do you guys know if this is an abandoned building?
Yeah.
When's the last time people lived here? You just drank here? Both of these non-citizens from Iran, a country we're at war with, are also on the Department of Homeland Security's worst of the worst list.
Last name, please. Last name, Haritash. First name is Lola.
Yep, this is the right place.
One of them is still incarcerated for felony child sex crimes. Yet another reason that it is illegal for him to vote.
I'm gonna catch this guy. All this, I'm gonna run off him.
You can see we got the cars over there with the rims were being looked at. These guys are staring at us.
Halfway crooks.
What's more, Michelle admits into a hidden camera on primary day in Dearborn, Michigan on August 4th that he's about to vote.
Your name is Mr. Afshin Michelle, right?
That is correct.
Are you interested to vote?
Yeah, we're going a little bit later.
Despite being a non-citizen. And Michigan poll workers on August 4th were happily prepared to hand these non-citizens voting ballots.
So I have a felony. I'm a sex offender. As long as my name is there.
Your name.
Our OMG team identified 2 non-citizens registered to vote in the Michigan primary elections. One is named Afshin Michelle, a citizen of Iran who was caught on the Department of Homeland Security's worst of the worst list. Now, that list consists of some of the most notorious non-citizens the Department of Homeland Security has caught in the past years. According to United States District Court documents, Afshin Michelle was also convicted of criminal sexual conduct that resulted in him being on the sex offender registry. Afshin Michelle was never a U.S. citizen. It says he entered on a visitor visa from Iran in 1991, was ordered removed following criminal convictions, and remains subject to a final order of removal. Afshin Michelle was also arrested by ICE in June of 2025 as a step toward the removal. Michigan's own voter roll data told us that Michelle voted in 2016, 2020, and 2024 despite his non-citizen status. We were able to confirm that Michelle is still registered to vote. Our undercover journalist visited Michelle's polling location inside the McDonald Elementary School in Dearborn, Michigan to see if this non-citizen from Iran would actually be able to vote if we simply stated his name and we told them that we were a non-citizen.
Hi, how are you, brother?
I'm good.
I came for the vote. Can you check if the name is if showing in the system?
You have your ID with you?
I didn't bring it.
Okay,
but can
fine.
you just check if the name you have it over there?
What's your last name?
Last name is Michelle, Masheli. And the name Afshin.
Yeah, you're in here.
It's in there, so I can vote today.
Yeah. You need to fill the back of this.
Right. So the question is it okay if I'm not a U.S. citizen? It's okay for me to vote.
All I know is you're registered to vote here.
As long as I'm registered, I can vote, right?
Yes.
Perfect.
The election worker there openly tells our undercover journalist that the name Michelle is allowed to vote in the primary election, despite the fact Afshin is a non-citizen from Iran. But we wanted to take it a step further and say out loud that Afshin is not just a non-citizen from Iran, but also a convicted sex offender.
The other thing, I have a question. I have a felony. Can I talk to him, please? So I have a felony. I'm a sex offender.
Doesn't matter.
As long as my name is there.
If your name is here, you can vote. The rest of the information not important.
It's not important, right? Yeah. Perfect.
Being a felon, being a sex offender felon, does not automatically bar you from voting as long as you're released from prison. If you're incarcerated,
in every
you cannot
state,
vote.
except for
we
one.
find it bizarre that someone who could be ineligible to vote based on citizenship and be arrested by ICE and be on the worst of the worst list, but still have a voting ballot readily available to them at the polling station, even when you tell them all these things. After an election worker confirmed that a registration
I want to stop right here, and nobody knows this better than me, especially after doing my time when I was 17 and 18 years old and getting out and getting all of my stuff restored, okay? You do not have to apply for your voting rights back after you get a felony conviction. And I think there's a big misconception in this country that felons would only vote Democrat. It's not true at all. It's not true at all. Having a felony does not bar you from voting. Never has. Only in one state now. And in other states, you can vote actually from prison. I believe Maine is one. Maybe Vermont is one. I'm not sure if Vermont is, but I know Maine is. As soon as you get up parole or probation, your rights to vote are completely restored because it is a right, which always brings me to the Second Amendment. How can they take that because you got the felony that you get your voting rights restored when you're back? Why don't you have to apply for those? Well, because it's a right. But you have to apply to get your gun rights back and spend a ton of money and go through 20 years of BS to get your gun rights back? That doesn't make any sense. That's a little messed up. I still have people today. Man, I wish I could vote. Why can't you? Oh, because I got a felony. When? 20 years ago. So go vote. It's not illegal. It's absolutely legal. Are you on parole? No. Are you on probation? No. Then go vote. Trust me, I've been through the whole process on both sides of it. Before, during, and after. I did what I needed to do afterwards, but I learned a lot too. And the world is, this country is inherently ignorant. They just believe everything they hear, and I never understood that.
Afshin's name appeared in the poll book. Our team went to the Michigan address associated with that voter record. Right away, the undercover journalist caught Afshin returning to his house and ran to catch him.
Looks like it's him. I want to catch this guy. All this, I'm gonna run after him.
Yes.
How you doing, sir? How are you?
Good.
Mr. Afshin?
Yeah.
How are you, brother?
Good.
Quick question. Did you vote today?
We have not, no.
Are you interested to vote?
Yeah, we're probably going a little bit later.
So you're going to vote today?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, I am not supposed to ask you this question, but you know who you're going to vote for, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Your name is Mr. Afshin Mashali, right?
That is correct.
Speaking openly with our reporter, Mashali said he planned to vote later that day in Michigan's primary at the McDonald Elementary School we attended. If federal records identifying Mashali as a non-U.S. citizen are accurate, his stated intention to vote is blatantly illegal. Our undercover asked Afshin if he voted in the last elections, including in 2024, as per the data.
Did you vote in the last elections?
No,
So
I did not.
When was the last time you voted?
It's been a long time ago.
When?
Oh, in a minute. Maybe 4 election ago.
Right.
Yeah, but I usually...
But it shows your, I mean, we do investigative journalism, and we looked at your both past votings, and the last election you did vote. You tell me right now you didn't vote, and it shows that you did cast your vote and you voted for the last election. What do you want to say for that?
I don't have anything to say. So what is this?
Yeah, but now, I mean, I'm telling you that we have proof that you voted for the last election.
So what is this about?
So now, what you told me right now, few seconds ago, that you didn't tell me a few years ago, but I'm telling you that you voted for the last election.
Okay, well, then they shouldn't.
They shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
On July 6, 2026, DOJ Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon issued a letter to Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson warning her that knowingly retaining non-citizens on Michigan state voter registration lists and sending such individuals ballots and then counting those ballots would constitute procurement, casting, or tabulation of ballots that are known to be false in violation of Section 12(2)B of the National Voter Registration Act. Harmeet Dillon, in her letter, claims that if the Michigan Secretary of State continues to allow this, prosecutions will come. There's that accountability that you guys want, and we're providing the evidence to assist the Department of Justice.
Hold up. If you are an elected official and you're allowing crimes to happen under U.S. constitutional law, why are we getting a warning? Hey, Eli, I see you dealing those drugs over there. You deal those drugs again, you're going to go to prison, says the cop. You know what I mean? Hey, I see you robbing that bank over there. You rob another bank, there's going to be some accountability, sir. No, you'd get arrested right then and there. How is this Secretary of State allowing state law to be broken and federal law, and yet Don't do it again, ma'am.
Yep. I call it 90s parent syndrome, and I'm sick and tired of it.
Yeah, don't do this. Don't do that. We won't get a toy in Walmart if you keep acting up. Warnings, 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 strongly worded letters. Warnings, strongly worded letters. Fox News interviews, warnings, warnings, letters, and news. Shut up already. Convict them or shut up. I don't even want to hear it. I like Harmeet Dillon. Convict him or shut up. It's that simple. I like Jeanine Pirro. Convict him or shut up. Don't talk about it, be about it. That's kind of an old thing that we used to say back in the day. Don't talk about it, be about it. Well, she does this again. If she continues to allow this to happen, what are you talking about? You think that Jocelyn Benson heard that warning from Harmeet Dillon and said, you know what? I'm not going to let this happen anymore. I'm not going to let this happen anymore because the threats of Harmeet Dillon are valid, scary. I'm fearful. I don't want to go to prison. I'm not going to do this anymore. Do you know when they would be that? Is if somebody actually went and held somebody accountable like that. Where we actually went into sanctuary states and started arresting these attorneys general and started arresting these secretary of states and started arresting these election boards and started arresting these lieutenant governors and governors. That's when people are going to go, oh, yeah, I don't want that.
It isn't just bad policy to let non-citizens vote in federal elections. It's a crime, and that this Department of Justice will intend to prosecute that crime.
And Afshin Michelli was
Stop. It's a what? What is it, Harmeet? It's a crime? So hold up. We have crimes documented here. We have actual crimes documented here. And admissions by the people who were part of that crime. So we have a crime. I don't know about you, but where I come from, a crime doesn't get an extra chance. Well, I know you committed that crime. Don't do it again. It is a crime, Harmeet.
And specifically mentioned by an organization called Check My Vote, and Michelli's picture was featured in a Gateway Pundit article, so his picture is already on the internet, and he's still registered to vote.
And he's still registered to vote. So that means the crime is continuing, right?
Elsewhere in metropolitan Detroit, our team was on the ground throughout Detroit, and this is just part one. We identified another registered voter named Fazlollah Haritash, an Iranian national who, like Afshin Michelli, is identified in federal records as a non-U.S. citizen. Now, Haritash also has a serious criminal history, but in this case, he was convicted of lewd and lascivious acts with a minor. Now, this past felony conviction does not by itself disqualify someone from voting in Michigan once that person is no longer incarcerated.
Correct.
But in this case, Haritash is currently incarcerated. There are actually two reasons for him to be disqualified. And like Afshin, Fazlollah also has been featured on the Department of Homeland Security's worst of the worst list.
Wow.
The place where Fazlollah would cast his ballot.
And
well,
still
that's
on the voting
at a
list.
mosque called the Taweed Center in Farmington Hills, Michigan. So our undercover went to that place to check in person to confirm that Fazlollah was in fact registered to vote and in fact could receive a ballot today.
Can we check if the name is on the system, please?
Okay, do you have your ID?
I didn't bring it, so can we?
Okay,
Yeah. You need the last name or first name?
Last name, please.
Last name, Haritash. First name, Fazlollah.
Yep, this is the right place.
It's in there, so.
Once again, we find ourselves puzzled and shocked at how unconscionable all this is. That someone who is ineligible to vote due to being a non-citizen from a country we're at war with is also ineligible to vote due to their felony incarceration, and yet still has a voting ballot waiting for them at a Michigan polling center on primary day from this past week, and that ballot is offered to a total stranger. You cannot make this stuff up. With the confirmation that Fazlola is an active
Muslim
registered voter in Michigan,
background.
our team headed to Fazlola's
Middle
home
Eastern
in
music.
Farmington Hills and met his neighbor, who gave us more confirmation that Fazlola was from Iran and had been caught with minors in an Oakland County Sheriff's sting operation.
How you doing? Sorry, sir. Sorry to bother.
Hey, how you doing?
Probably you're having an out or something. Yeah, I know. How is everything?
Good, good.
I mean, we knocked on your neighbor across the street.
Oh, nobody lives there.
Nobody lives
He's
there?
a child predator.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, shoot, dude.
You know what's weird is he's in jail now. So,
oh, okay, good.
He was a real quiet guy. He was from Iran. He's been in the country for like 30 years.
Yeah.
And at night I would see these cars pull up. And, you know, I'm in, I don't know, I'd see these girls get out and go in the back door. And he got caught by the Oakland County Sheriffs.
Now, we have reached out to the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, and the Department of Justice. Specifically, we reached out to Harmeet Dillon regarding our investigation into Ashvin Misheli, Fazlola Haritash, and the general lack of security around Michigan's elections. We've just confirmed before this story aired from the Department of Homeland Security that both Misheli and Haritash are non-citizens, so they confirmed that. The Department of Justice knows about this report, and we've also learned that they intend to take swift action.
Well,
We'll
let's
make sure
do
we
it.
follow up with them to ensure accountability comes. We await action from our government to ensure clean voter rolls across this country, and we have a follow-up in Michigan as well as other states. Stay tuned.
Good. Great job, O'Keefe Media Group. Hey, Eli, you know what I want to do? And I don't want to do this as a, like, I'm against him, but more of an encouragement. Do you remember the Where's Waldo books?
Yep.
Okay.
Still haven't found the bastard.
All right. Let's make a Where's Cash Patel book. Let's make a bunch of scenes where Cash Patel is hiding somewhere in that photo, and we say, where's Cash? Because it seems to me like Cash would be the first line of defense in going and investigating and then bringing those claims to the DOJ for Todd Blanche. Where's Cash? Make some of those. Now, I'm glad that he's reaching out to Harmeet Dillon. I really am. I'm glad that the DHS is aware of this. I'm glad that the federal government is aware of this. But how about this? When we do become aware of it, how about we get a press conference from the people that, you know, should be addressing it? Like the Cash Patels and the Todd Blanches. So that we know that they got it, and so that we know on the record officially that they're doing something about it. That way, when 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by, a month goes by, and we don't hear from them, we can put pressure on them again. Right? You guys all know the wonderful job that Scott Pressler's been doing in Pennsylvania in forcing non-citizens and dead people off voter rolls, right? Big shout out to Scott Pressler. Well, I'd like to give the Smarty Award of the day today to another individual who does something similar and who's never gotten the Smarty Award of the day before. Let's go ahead and cue that drum roll. Today's Smarty Award of the day goes to Tom Fitton, founder of Judicial Watch, because he has just forced Governor Tina Kotek of Oregon to remove 800,000 ineligible voters from Oregon's voter rolls. As of now, Tom Fitton says the group's suits have cleaned 6 million names off voter rolls nationwide. 6,800,000 in one move right there with Oregon. In one swift lawsuit, almost 1 million people will no longer be on those voting rolls. Here's what you have to do, though. You have to make sure they don't get put back on. We've seen Secretary of States putting names back on voting rolls. That's what, and I'm sure Tom's aware of this. I'm sure Scott is aware of this. I know they are, as a matter of fact. And so I'm not going to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. Kit Kat says, Tom Fitton is great. I just sent his organization a donation. I have a few people that I send to reoccurring. as well. Scott's one of them. NRA's another one. I don't donate to Judicial Watch, though, although maybe I will, because 6 million people. So I asked the people on the left, and I'm sure I'll get some crazy answer, but my question is going to be this. If there is no voter fraud in this country, right? Then why are there 6 million people removed from the voting rolls? Because they're ineligible. And if a proper audit was done in each state, if they would hand over this stuff from these blue states, I would bet you that if any records kept were cross-referenced, that 6 million of those names that were on those voting rolls, whether dead or illegal, will be on those previous voting, had been at those previous voting polling places and voting booths. Guarantee you. That's the problem with our election system and it being so flawed, is it's not the amount of people that are going and voting fraudulently. It's the amount of people on the voting rolls and the amount of ballots that are going out and coming back in their names. 800,000 in one swoop? That's a massive number, folks. That's almost 1 million people. There's countries that don't have 1 million people. Literal nations. Again, we here at MAGA Inc., for all you lefties that think we're all a cult, we're not saying that dead people are actually getting out of the grave and voting. We're not saying that illegal aliens are by millions running and voting. But voting is being done in their names. That's the people that we need to focus on. Those are the organizations, the NGOs, and the ballot harvesters that we need to be focused on. If 800,000 were able to be forced off, then why were they being held onto? Why did Tom Fitton have to go to court and sue the state of Oregon? And the state of Oregon pushed back. All in all, when it was all said and done, 800,000 were ineligible, regardless of why you were trying to hang on to them. But you were trying to hang on to those voters on that roll. Why? Why, if it was determined at the end that they weren't even eligible? And you want to tell me that there's no voter fraud that goes on in this country? You are out of your mind. Out of your mind. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, remember last week the allegations of James Fishback of Byron Donalds? We got an update on that right after this.
In the long history of the world, the struggle to survive has been a constant. The human spirit has been frequently tested. Every man has had his own struggle. Every man has made sacrifices. And every man has been pushed beyond their limits. Survival is crucial. The desire to be prepared has never wavered. Generations that came before us realized the importance of gaining every advantage. How you face adversity could change your life. Success depends on it. History is defined by it. Our spirit is fueled by it. Our strength comes in many forms. The strength to fight, the strength to overcome, the strength to believe, the strength to win, the strength to rise. Rise up coffee. Rise up to meet your challenge.
You can get your Rise Up coffee at JeremyHerald.com or LFATV.us. And also, before we go back to it, let me talk about Rumble Wallet. Folks, I never, ever, ever in my life had digital currency until Rumble Wallet. If you don't have Rumble Wallet, maybe Rumble Wallet is something that you want to get now, especially if you have Bitcoin or if you have digital currency or anything like that. Okay? Because you can consolidate all of your Rumble Wallet digital currency in one spot right there with your wallet. Empower your voice, enable transactions, have one secure spot. Don't have to be going, you can just open up one app and there's all your digital currency sitting in one spot, whether it's Bitcoin, crypto, Tether Gold on the US blockchain, whatever it is. If you are a digital currency advocate or somebody that has digital currency, well then let me suggest to you downloading Rumble Wallet. Now there's a few ways you can do this. If you have Android, go to your Android Play Store, find Rumble Wallet, download it, boom. Connect it with all of your accounts and it will all be sitting in one spot. If you have Apple, same thing. Go to your Apple Play Store, download Rumble Wallet. If you don't go to wallet.rumble.com or click that QR code on the side of your screen. Nobody wants that day where they wake up and it was like the Great Depression and every bit of your digital representation of your money is gone down to zero. It's not a complicated setup, and the cool part about it is you can start gifting your favorite creators here on Rumble also with Rumble Wallet, and you can attach it to a thing called MoonPay, which allows you to use it at everyday stores. Rumble Wallet at wallet.rumble.com or by going to your Play stores and downloading the apps today or by clicking the QR code on your screen. Thank you to Rumble, and thank you to Rumble Wallet. And thank you to everybody who's donating as well through the Rumble Rants. Really appreciate that as well. You guys are awesome. And everybody over there commenting on YouTube, I see you. I love you. Thank you. Now, last week we talked about James Fishback. I did not show the video last week because we ran out of time. We just talked about it real quick. The accusation was that James Fishback, who's running for governor, thank you, Kit Kat Mar, for the $20 donation today, said donations to my favorite organization, LFA TV. Thanks, sweetie. Appreciate that very much. James Fishback went on air last week and said that Corey Mills is under DOJ investigation for sex trafficking, and now that has expanded to Byron Donalds. I'll play the clip for you here in just 1 second. But the DOJ came out with a response, which I believe was a rude awakening for Fishback. And again, Fishback has no chance of winning, so he's muddying the waters like Obama used to say. Here's what he said.
It's not political. This is about transparency. On July 21st, 2026, NBC News reported that Republican Florida Congressman Corey Mills was under criminal investigation by the Department of Justice. Like virtually every federal investigation, this one began with a single suspect and quickly spread to include others. This government whistleblower who approached my campaign has confirmed that this investigation has now expanded to include U.S. Congressman Byron Donalds, who, along with Corey Mills, is under investigation for federal sex trafficking. Federal prosecutors are investigating two dates in question: May 17th, 2024, and November 19th, 2024. Dates when Congressman...
I got to ask this. Then why didn't law enforcement release that information? If there's two dates in question that law enforcement is investigating, then why hasn't law enforcement held a press conference to talk about that? I mean, you're talking about two pretty high-profile people here. U.S. Congressmen from Florida, Corey Mills and Byron Donalds. One running to be governor. Does anybody ever remember what a wrap-up smear campaign is? Or throw enough sugar honey iced tea at the wall and see what sticks?
Mills and Donalds are said to have traveled to the MGM National Harbor, a luxury hotel resort in Oxon Hill, Maryland, where prosecutors believe that both Mills and Donalds solicited, procured, and paid women for sexual acts. Federal prosecutors are in the final stages of this investigation and will soon charge both men under Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Section 1952, a felony that carries a conviction of 5 years in prison. In the coming hours, Byron Donalds will call this investigation a political attack. It's not. The Department of Justice, led by a Trump appointee of the same political party, is not investigating Congressman Donalds for political reasons. They are investigating him because there is credible evidence that he committed a very serious crime.
All right. Last week I said this. If you have evidence of a very serious crime that pertains to sex trafficking, human trafficking, or whatever, and you're holding on to that information because you want to do it politically, then you're no better than a Thomas Massey, a Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Ro Khanna, or any of the other ones that said, we're going to release the names on the House steps, the floor of the outside of the House steps. We're going to call a news conference, a press conference, and we're going to release the names. Why? Why are you threatening to do that? Just do it. Everyone wants to know. We'd all love to know. Name names. Drop those names. If you know names that the public doesn't know, drop them. I don't care if it's Trump himself and you've got proof, drop it. Fishback, if you've got proof of Donald's doing what you're saying he's doing, then drop that proof. Do you know why he's not? Do you know why? He said he saw and his legal team vetted it and it was irrefutable proof of sex trafficking. Okay. If that's the case, then why not show it? Why are you threatening? Why are you saying this should come from you, Byron Donalds? We're going to give you the opportunity to do this, or else we're going to go to Tallahassee and we're going to let the world decide. Let the world decide. Why are you stringing it along? You're talking about possible violations of human rights here in America, sex trafficking. That's a very serious allegation. Now, on the Byron Donalds side, why isn't there a lawsuit started already? That's what bothers me. This guy's out there saying this stuff as you're running for governor of Florida. This is a little different than a former LFA host who has a drinking problem. Well, you guys don't pay me. This is a current candidate for governor blaming another current candidate that he's running against of sex trafficking. Maybe there is one coming. Maybe there is a lawsuit coming. I don't know. What I do know is that the Department of Justice actually said this is not true. So when are we going to get some slander, some libel here? It's a little bit different than just your everyday run-of-the-mill girl gossip crap. The Department of Justice and Byron Donalds' campaign have both denied these claims. The Department of Justice, the one organization, the one branch of our law enforcement, part of our administration that is actually, said to be having an investigation against this guy. They're the ones that came out and said that's not true. Details of the DOJ's investigations into Mills reported last month remain unclear, but we know it is in part focused on his finances, not sex trafficking. Fishback alleged that the investigation has now expanded to Donalds. The problem with that is the DOJ came out and said this claim is not true. And so did Byron Donalds. DOJ Rapid Response said falsely accusing of somebody of being under investigation is a dangerous form of weaponization. This claim is not true. Congressman Byron Donalds is not under any investigation. What a scumbag Fishback is. And this is the guy that people like Ryan Matta, Thomas Massey, Dan Blizzarin, Nick Fuentes. Nick said, I'd love to have him as governor, but the only reason I don't endorse him is because it'll hurt him, because of my name. That's this crowd. And you're going to go to this length because the people aren't feeling what you say? Look, if the people of your state and the people of your district or whatever it is you're running for, if they're not feeling you, then they're not feeling you. Right off into the sunset and go back to the private sector. It's that simple. But nope. These guys have got to double down and accuse people of this stuff. And you know how he gets out of the libel and slander? A whistleblower came to my campaign and made these accusations, of which he can do any day he wants. Look at what Adam Schiff did. Oh, whistleblower, Russiagate, impeach. And there needs to be some accountability for that. The DOJ came out itself and said it's a dangerous way to weaponize. Jay Wall said, can Fishback be sued by Byron? Well, I hope he can. I hope he can. And look, I'm not a Floridian. I don't have actual skin in the game when it comes to the state. But as a American citizen who wants to keep more red states than we have blue, as we always have, that's what I want. How about you? Sound off in the live chat. Again, if this was... I knew when I was watching this that this was some disgusting attempt by James Fishback. The guy is a Nazi-sympathizing scumbag. That's what he is. He waits outside Byron Donald's events with a megaphone. You're afraid, you're a coward, you're afraid to debate me, and brings like 50 people with him. So that it looks like Florida is like riding with James Fishback. He's going to get trounced. And I can't wait to see it happen. I hear you, CC. I hear you. W. Wilson said, very disappointed in DML. I assume you're talking about Dennis Michael Lynch. He bought it all, hook, line, and sinker. Yeah, and that Jolly Green Giant idiot, too. Same thing. I know. These guys, you know what they are? These guys are A, never correct. B, nothing that they say ever comes to fruition. C, they're always on the wrong side of history. And D, none of their candidates ever win that they push or endorse. You think that El Sayed, whatever his name is, Abdul Syed, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit, you think that Michigan as a whole is going to vote for this guy? Where's Thomas Massey? Where's Marjorie Taylor Greene? Where are these people that this sect of the Democrat Party, where are they? They wanted them to win. They wanted them to continue to be a thorn in the Republican side. I didn't know DML did that. I don't know even where DML is anymore. Is he still online? Is Dennis Michael Lynch still doing an online show? I remember Dennis Michael Lynch from, I don't even know, maybe 2015, 16 when he was doing a lot of border work. CER25. Donalds was against property tax cut. Now he wants the prop tax, not voting for him. He's part of the establishment. I just saw a video last week from Byron Donalds where he was talking about the continued push to get rid of property taxes. Just last week. So you might want to recheck that. I could be wrong, but I just saw one last week and it was up to date. So unless he changed his mind over the weekend, I'm just not sure. Diane says, I live in Florida, voted for Bobby Williams. He's a true Floridian that doesn't want data centers like Byron. Now, I will say that. Byron is all for data centers. Look, I don't think anybody here wants data centers, right? I think all of us, Jeremy, Massachusetts Ice Patriots are fighting for MAGA. Amen, Johnny Boxa. What part of Mass you from, by the way? But amen. Oh, so he is still doing a show. Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't know if he was still doing a show. Data centers. Look, I live in the real world of we need the advancement of tech and AI, or else the rest of the world will move on without us and America will be left behind. 100%. It's just the reality of it, folks. If you want to be number one at everything, then you've got to be number one at everything. And now with the advancement of technology like AI, we'll be left in the dust if we don't adopt it. But does that mean that we take up our country's land for data centers? No, we shouldn't be. I don't think we should be finding good farmland and good soil and good land for people to build houses on to make these data centers. I 100% agree. There should be another way to do it. There should be another way. Have these things in places where you can get the appropriate amount of stuff to it where it doesn't kill the environment and everything around it and doesn't destroy the water and the soil. I get it, 100%. I can't say I'm for or against them because I know what against them means. They are needed, but there's got to be a different way to do it. There's got to be a different way to do it than buying up 150 acres of beautiful farmland and destroying the soil and the water sources. I get it. I'm right there with you. Whoever figures out a way to do these data centers in a way that doesn't affect our land and our water, that would be great. But it seems like they don't even try. Patriot Johnson says data centers will be nothing more than spying hubs. I agree with you there too. These data centers suck. It's like a rock and a hard place situation. It's either we advance into the future with the rest of the world or we don't. Okay, we do want to, right? Old Hog says, tear down housing for illegals for data centers. There you go. There you go. I'm just reading some of your comments here. No more lobbyist special interest groups. I agree with that too. China did. They put them all in the ocean, said C3. That's why we're trying to get Fritz for governor in Tennessee. He wants them gone. Blackburn does not. But again, W. Wilson, what is your... Look, I'm willing to hear both sides. What is your plan for no data centers? How do we advance with no data centers? Or where do we put them to where they're not going to where you'll accept them? Because one way or another, they're coming. You're not going to stop them. Technology's moving forward. America's number one in everything. So again, I ask, what's your alternative to not having them? It's easy to say no and it's easy to say yes. But when you actually face with reality here, some states are going to do them, some states aren't. The states and the countries that do them, they're going to advance, and the states that don't will be left behind in this world. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's what we want. Maybe we don't want to be number one anymore. Maybe we want to go back to basics. Casey, you said it right. Data centers are a rock and a hard place. In between a rock and a hard place. They absolutely are. Dottie said, buy up the farmland that is for sale for data centers. That would be really cool. That would be awesome if people had the money to do that. And said, nope, we're not doing it. Too bad, so sad. Sorry. Find another way to put them. And guess what? Forced with, we don't have any land to put them on, they will find somewhere to put them. But again, pretty rough. They have them in Cuba, China, etc., said him, Carl. 1960, DML is sick and is also doing his podcast. You mean sick in the head or he's like sick? Anyway, flock cameras too. We're actually going to be talking about flock cameras here towards the end of the show. But for now, ranked choice voting. Ranked choice voting. Score Hit said, take the farmland here in Iowa that China owns and build them. Well, or just take it back from China, right? Big Daddy Jameson, you're already late with that hashtag, my friend. You're far too late. You look dumb. Okay? You're far too late for that hashtag and you look stupid. Just to let you know. Elon Musk is putting big money to stop Alaska's ranked choice voting system. Now that's what I like. I like getting rid of things that actually do some serious damage to this nation. And one of them is ranked choice voting. Elon Musk is trying to help put an end to ranked choice voting in the state of Alaska. And he's putting his money where his mouth is. Ranked choice voting is absolutely a scam. Used in Alaska, it's what got Lisa Murkowski elected. Absolutely. And other places that always seem to favor the candidates that the left wants. A similar type of system was used in the Los Angeles mayoral race to push Spencer Pratt out of the election. And now enter one Elon Musk. Tech billionaire Elon Musk gave $1.5 million to a group supporting the repeal of Alaska's voting system, according to a report filed by the state of Alaska on Friday. Ballot Measure 2, which will appear on the November ballot, seeks to appeal Alaska's ranked choice voting system method. along with open primaries and campaign finance laws that were themselves adopted by the ballot measure in 2020. Musk gave $1.5 million last month to Aurora Action Network. Aurora Action Network. It's a Wisconsin-based political action committee that has already collected contributions from numerous billionaire mega donors, including Dick Uihlein, Jeff Yass, Timothy Mellon, and Hillcorp owner Jeffrey Hildebrand. Aurora Action Network then gave the repeal campaign $1 million in late July. Elon Musk's contribution, which makes up a sizable share of the repeal campaign's fundraising, could prove pivotal for the future of Alaska's elections. If anybody here is in a state or in a city where they do ranked choice voting, speak up in the live chat, because it's absolutely correct. It never, ever, ever favors the party that won the popular vote, the electoral college vote, more counties than anybody in history, and the most actual votes ever. It never favors those people in that party. Just like when they find missing ballots. Have you ever noticed that? People on the left, I'm speaking directly to you. When they find ballots, or ballots keep coming in for hours and hours and days and weeks and weeks, how come they're never Republican ballots? How come they're always Democrat? RD Comp said, hey, Jeremy, DML said this is the first time hearing about this Donald's. Could be a hit piece so late in the game. Okay, I didn't know. Like I said, I didn't even know DML still did a podcast. So glad at least he's saying that. Now, ranked choice voting, Save America Act, socialist candidates. We have to move into El Syed. We have to move to talk about Abdul Syed. Why is this guy such a threat? The left will ask. Why are you so worried about El Syed? Why is Abdul Syed says it all the time? Why are you so worried about little old me? You're Islamophobic. Well, I've spent years telling you we're not afraid of Muslims, but actually, I think we are. We're not afraid of them individually. We're afraid of Islamification. We're afraid of our children growing up in a world where they have to be burqa'd. Because look at the spread of it. Don't look at people's fear of it because they're another religion. Don't look at Christians, protest against it because it's a different religion. Do you see Christians doing that to Buddhists? Do you see Christians doing that to Jews? Do you see Christians doing that to Hindus? No. It's only against Islam. Why? Because look at how it spreads. Islam, hijab wearing, forcing women to be covered up, all of that, and then the complete practice of taqiyya, pretending that nothing is happening that's bad until it is. That's what we're afraid of. We're afraid of our country becoming like the United Kingdom or all of Europe. Yes, we are afraid of that. Absolutely. And this guy, El Syed, after Mamdani, the young people of this country are so lost, brainwashed, ignorant, and borderline stupid that they will ride with this guy. Look at who pushed El Syed over the Democratic primary in Michigan. It was college kids. College kids. Does anybody remember what they were like in college? Does anybody remember how they thought in college? Why do you think most of the protesters are all young people? Because when you're in college, you're easily confused and you're not that smart. Here's more of that hearing last week where it talked about El Syed's father-in-law.
Do you believe that there is a Muslim Brotherhood branch operating in the United States?
Yes.
Does Abdul Syed's candidacy for senator in Michigan concern you?
Yes, sir, it does.
Why is that?
Well, to begin with, I look at the connections that his father-in-law, Chakaku Tayyib, has to Brotherhood-linked groups. This includes being the president at one time of CARE Michigan, also his presence on the Islamic Society of North America Founders Committee, which is only for those most exclusively devoted to ISNA and provides significant amounts of funding. There are other known Brotherhood members on that committee. I would also look at El Sayed's ties to a group called Mgage, which purports to be a Muslim sort of get out the vote or candidate recruitment organization, but it has close ties to CARE. It was created by a former CARE member who at one time was on a terror watch list and was also a consultant to convicted terrorist Sami al-Arian.
Wow. Much like Ruben Gallego's father, involved in some really shady stuff. Now, there's an island that Michiganders know and love, and I hope I don't butcher this when I say it. Mackinac Island? Is that how you say it? For all the Michiganders watching on any various program or a platform that you're watching on, did I say that right? Mackinac Island? Well, I've never been there. I understand it's a place that Michiganders love. Because I saw the quote all weekend. It said, if you hate Mackinac Island, then you hate Michigan. It's that simple. Because apparently it represents Michigan families and their history. Mackinac. Mackinac is how it's pronounced? Mackinac? Okay. Mackinac Island. Thank you very much, Michiganders. Appreciate that. So Mackinac Island. If you hate this, apparently you hate Michigan. This is a well-known fact in Michigan. And here is a video, apparently, of Abdul Syed saying he hates Mackinac Island.
Up.
I hate Mackinac so much.
Hate Mackinac so much, he said.
It's funny because, like, if we win, this is going to be the, like, summer home. I'm just going to be like, every time I've ever come here, I've hated it. Why am I here?
Watch yourself.
Play it again.
I hate Mackinac so much. It's funny because, like, if we win, this is going to be the, like, summer home. I'm just going to be like, every time I've ever come here, I've hated it. Why am I here?
If we win, this will be where the summer home is. And I don't know why. Because every time I've ever been here, I've hated it. And this is where we'll have to be, in a place that I hate. Michiganders that are watching, tell me what's the truth is. What's the truth here? If you hate Mackinac Island, do you hate Michigan? Is it that serious? Now I understand. I lived in New Hampshire for 30 years. I know people love their, Pawtucket and Nantucket. I know people love their little islands off the state. People love the Cape. I love going down to the Cape. But let me see. Let me see what the Michiganders say. Well, he's not going to win, so it doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, wow. Maybe he'll croak. Well, I hate him, said Brave Matt. No one cares. He hates tourism. He's not winning. Yes, it's that serious, says AV 1965. Fabulous, says beautiful Victorian houses. XX Machine, the last lady who ran and said that, lost. No Muslims go there, probably why he hates it. I was just on Block Island, same deal. Mackinaw's a state treasure. He's a piece of garbage. Mackinaw's awesome. You hate it there and then take your goat effing ass back to your country. GPen02, I love Mackinac Island. No cars, only bikes and horses allowed, says Octubre. You're running for a political position. You don't speak this way, said Sophie. Debbie Rising, we'll leave it at this one. Translation, he hates America. Imagine this. Imagine I'm running for Congress in Iowa. And imagine I say that I hate a town in District 1 of Iowa. Any fellow Iowans out there, I'm sure there's some towns that have been hit pretty heavy over the years. As a matter of fact, I can think of one that's in my district. that has had a hell of a time getting out of a slump over the last 30 years. And that's Clinton, Iowa. I grew up loving Clinton, Iowa. You know when you get online and you're like on Instagram or Facebook and you see top worst places in your state, the top 10 worst places in Iowa, starting with, and then it goes through them. Every single time I see one of those lists, Clinton, Iowa's on it. Whether it's 10 or whether it's number 1. Clinton is a deeply affected, but also deeply culturally for Iowa, a rich, not material rich, but just rich in culture town, because culture is where we all went in Illinois when we all wanted to go shopping. I mean, Clinton was. Clinton was where we always went. Everything that was always going on was in Clinton. All the, right off the Mississippi work, there was so much that was done in Clinton. And everybody hates Clinton, Iowa. We probably go there once every week to 2 weeks to meet my dad for dinner or lunch. I love Clinton, Iowa. But can you imagine I'm running for District 1 in Iowa, and I walk around and I'm talking about, I hate Clinton, I'll never want to be here. It stinks. Well, ADM is there. Do you know why it stinks? Because Purina and ADM are there. Purina makes, obviously, what Purina makes. Dog food, right? And other products. ADM creates ethanol fuel that Iowa runs off of, which is a lot of the reason why Iowa energy is so cheap. So why would you hate that? It stinks, but I wouldn't hate it. But imagine me running and saying, I hate Clinton, Iowa. You think anybody in Clinton is going to want to vote for me? No. But these people don't care. They hate America. That's why they're trying to change it so much. Casey Maga says, I don't think I've ever been to Clinton, Iowa. Well, it's right on the border of Illinois and Iowa. It's right across the border from Fulton, Illinois. And, it's pretty cool. They got some really cool stuff there. LeClaire, Iowa is a neat river town, closer to Jeremy than Clinton. Yes, it is. I love LeClaire. It would be like me saying I hate LeClaire. It's that kind of a town. You're absolutely correct. And LeClaire's right next to me. LeClaire's beautiful. Tiny little town, but beautiful. Now, speaking of DSA and socialists and Muslims, because that's who's taking over the Democratic Party, watch this. I don't even know what this is. Watch this tongue-twisting answer from this DSA official.
Facing in our housing system is that we talk about tenants and we say they have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. They have to be responsible financially. But when we look at the landlords, we don't use those same standards. Landlords in New York have been making a 12% return on their investment on average.
How much should they make? What's fair for the landlord to make if you don't like 12?
They're complaining that 12 is not enough. And we don't think that anyone should have a constitutional right to double-digit returns on their investment. That's why we've implemented...
No one should have a right to a double-digit return on their investment.
No one has a right. That's not... No,
what are you talking about?
That's not in the Constitution, but what we see is that when we implement a rent freeze, we have landlords who are crying that the government is going to put them out of business.
They're trying to run a business, and they're trying to do it effectively. No, are all landlords perfect? Are some landlords lousy? Of course they are. But I just think that the idea that no one should make a double-digit profit is the antithesis of the desire to, you can be anything you want to be in New York. They came here from Peru, really in the middle of the heat of the Shining Path. They were Maoist, communist guerrillas in Peru. So why did your family come to America?
The economic situation in South America and in Peru was in a really bad place. But I think that much of what we could say is responsible for that actually was the imposition of capitalism, and American imperialism in many cases is actually what brings immigrants to the U.S. coming out of Latin America. And
So they come here because they don't like the imposition of American imperialism in the country that they're in?
Yes, in many countries.
So they come here.
In many countries,
Makes sense.
So nobody has a right to double-digit returns in a capitalist country, even though people have the decision and choice to buy whatever they want. Nobody has the right to double-digit returns, number one. And we left our sugar honey iced tea whole country because of American imperialism. So we settled in America. And let's not forget, he's a little, they're always this, aren't they? They're always this. So hold on. You got pushed out of your country because of American imperialism. So the first place you decided to hightail it to was the country of the United States, where American imperialism is birthed from. That makes sense. Nobody has a right to a double-digit return. That's because this dipshit has never owned a business or had a return of anything whatsoever. These people don't understand economics. They don't understand business. They barely have ever had a job. The only thing they know how to be is gay Muslim socialists. Period. And I saw somebody on YouTube say, do you know how un-American you sound right now? Do you know how un-American you sound right now? And what's the problem with saying somebody's full name anyway? Eli, remember when they used to give us hell because we'd say Barack Hussein Obama? Why are you saying that? Because it's his name. I say Donald John Trump. I say John Fitzgerald Kennedy. I can't say Barack Hussein Obama. What's wrong with that, Eli?
Yeah, kind of turns the tables and makes them sound like the uncomfortable racist one. Can't say Hussein. Actually, we can, because that's his name.
It's his name. It's on that coveted birth certificate that you guys think you know so much of. Barack Hussein Obama. Well, Barry Soetoro's his actual name. So, but you know what I mean. What, Eli?
I mean, they get so stressed out about it. I asked them, can you calm down?
Yeah. Can you just chill out a little bit? So here's CNN melting down over Tim Scott calling Abdul Syed by his actual name.
For certain is that Abdul Syed El Syed is making it easier. Why? Because he is inconsistent with Michiganders of either side of the aisle, by the way. Someone who wants to defund police, defund ICE, who wants to abolish our concept of a border. He's just wrong for Michigan.
And I saw your early attack ads against him. You're using his full name in these attack ads, which has gotten some attention. Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Syed. He goes by Abdul El Syed. Are you trying to say, hint, hint to voters, he's Muslim?
Not at all. What we're saying what we're only saying to voters is a simple thing. He says he's the most dangerous candidate you can find. He's right. We should trust his words, not ours.
But why not just use his name, Abdul El Syed, which he goes by?
Well, listen, I go by Timothy Eugene, and so I get called that all the time. Here's what I know with that question. It's about what he stands for. And we're going to focus and bring attention to the fact that not only is he sympathetic for Hamas, not only does he run around with Hassan Pike or someone who said that Americans deserve 9/11, he should be held account for exactly where he stands and what he's for.
I agree. Although I'm not so sure I'm comfortable with Tim Scott's middle name being Gene, but that's neither here nor there. So what's his name? His name is, see if I get this right, it's a little hard to say. His name is Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Syed. Abdullah Rahman Mohammed El Syed. That's his name. So let's start calling his name his name. Well, tonight, Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Syed said, well, it's got a little bit of a different ring than Abdul Syed, doesn't it? That puts things into perspective for some people, doesn't it? Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Syed. That's his name. So that's what we're going to call him from now on. That's what everybody's going to call him. So when you say, have you heard about this Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Syed? People are going to go, who? Oh, El Syed. Yeah. That guy up in Michigan. I thought his name was Abdul. It is. It's Abdul Rahman Ahmad El Syed. By the way, somebody said, I don't like Tim Scott either. I'm right there with you. I'm not a big Tim Scott fan either. But again, the worst Republican is better than the best Democrat every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Eli.
Just one thing. Don't forget to pronounce it correctly.
Aloha snack bar.
You can only make Medicare free and universal if you increase taxes. So if you are elected and make this push, would you need to increase taxes?
As I've said across this campaign, I am for taxing billionaires their wealth.
What about people who make less than $1 billion and less than $1 million, though, Dr. El Syed? What about people making less than $1 million?
So for the average person, and you look at your W-2, if you're an employee who gets paid every 2 weeks or 4 weeks, after you pay your taxes, the next biggest check that comes off the top of your pay stub is to your health insurance company. So imagine instead of paying that to your health insurance company, whose CEO makes $20 million a year, instead you paid a little bit more in taxes for health care that you wouldn't lose if you lost your job or turned 26.
Some Americans worry, though, you can only make Medicare.
Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Syed just said that he wants to raise taxes on everyone to cover Medicaid for all. By the way, he's wrong. Healthcare, insurance company, insurance payments. It's not the second biggest deduction in my home. We don't have it withdrawn. We actually take the money ourselves and we put it in our own account. And we draw from that account and pay 40% less paying cash on the day of any doctor visit, instead of giving it to the billion-dollar insurance companies that are price gouging like the gas companies are doing. But I don't know about you, but I just heard him say, I don't think the regular everyday American is going to be that much worse off or upset if we take a little bit more of their taxes so that they don't ever lose their health care if they lose their job. Well, you can either feel the burn or feel the earn. In America, we like to feel the earn. Sorry that feel the burn socialism isn't catching on. Now, the problem is it is catching on with young people. Because this generation, they don't like to work for anything, including my own kids. They would rather have you hand it to them than work for it. Where we were raised, it's good to go out there and work for something and earn it. You learn something from that. Nowadays, people just want. I want. You should pay for my sex change. You should pay for my school. You should pay for my house. You should pay for my phone. You should pay for my health insurance. You should pay for everything because I can't. I just had this conversation with a friend of mine last night. Oh, I can't afford a house. No shit. You're 20. Shut up. Go to work. Oh, I can't get a house. It was a lot easier for my parents to get a house. Really? They give credit out like it's candy these days. What are you talking about? Go live in a studio apartment or a trailer or a whatever for the good first few years of your life. Then, if you don't advance in that job, you get a second job. And if you don't want to have two jobs, you get a better job. Then you know what you do, Eli? You go to a one-bedroom apartment. Then, wash, rinse, repeat. You do the same thing again. Then you get a two-bedroom apartment. And if you're not happy with that because of the one job that you have, then get your lazy ass out there and get a second job. Because guess what, Eli? I don't remember a time in our history where that wasn't a reality.
Oh, no, Jeremy. You should be ashamed of yourself. These are basic human rights. You are simping for the oligarchy, just like the good people over on YouTube have been saying.
Yep, absolutely. Crying about everything. I can't do this because this is that. I can't do that because this is this. When was that ever America? You want something? Go get it. If you don't get it, you didn't want it hard enough. Or it wasn't God's will. It's that easy. Accept it. Move on. Stop crying. That's the problem with today's world. And that's the problem with candidates like El Syed. Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Syed. Oh, let's give somebody everything. Pay a little bit more and everybody gets everything. And we can live in this beautiful socialist utopia. Yeah. I've asked enough Canadians what they thought about their healthcare system up there. And they all say it sucks. They all say it sucks. I've not had one person that I know in Canada be like, you should model our way of doing things. Oh, but look at Norway and look at Denmark and look at all these countries. Yeah, look at them. They're the size of one of our states. Scale that up 50 times and see how that works out. Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Sayed advocates for Sharia law in the U.S., compared Oklahoma's anti-Sharia amendment to the Trail of Tears and the Oklahoma City bombing. That's Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Sayed. Speaking at a CARE, coalition of Arab and Islamic whatever. I'm going to play this for you now. Listen very closely to what he says. Because again, ladies and gentlemen, the devil hides the details in the words.
I had planned to keep that to be the history that I would cover as we talk about our future. But I was reminded, actually, about events that I remember because I was an adult when they happened. And that was Question 755. When the state of Oklahoma voted in a referendum to amend the Constitution to ban Sharia law. What does that mean? I don't know. And yet the voters banned it anyway. What I offer today is just a reflection on the American history that runs through this state. You all sitting in this room, in this town, we're sitting in a space, in a time when I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
And those forces should remain alive and well today. Why is it wrong to ban Sharia law? Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Sayed, that's your name. Why would that be wrong? These same forces today. Yeah. What's wrong with that? Your ideology and your people are sick and twisted individuals that will not adopt the Western way of life. You just won't. You're actively campaigning to get rid of it right now in that speech. Patriot over on YouTube said, you gents do realize that we're in a constant state of psyop, right? Oh, all the time. All the time. The biggest one being perpetrated on us right now, the takeover of this country by Islam, with the funding and the political backing of China. China and Islam, the two biggest, greatest risks to our country. China and Islam. Now, Abdul Rahman Mohammed El Sayed said that he defends Hassan Piker for saying America deserved 9/11. Think about that. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on here, and if you say anything against, if you don't say anything against this guy for what you're about to hear him say, then you are the biggest anti-American scumbag, and we have no use for you. If you say that people deserved 9/11, those thousands of people that were jumping out of those buildings because they rather would fall to their death than burn to death or have a building collapse on them, you're a scumbag. And you would never say that to somebody's face because you know what would happen in this country still today. They're saying that Hassan Piker is their Joe Rogan. Really? First of all, no, not even close. Pretty sure Joe Rogan still gets 20 million viewers per episode. Second of all, why didn't you pick Nick Fuentes? If you want those extreme views as Hassan Piker, why didn't you pick Nick Fuentes? And I'm not even talking about the Nick Fuentes stuff with the Jew stuff. I don't care about that. I'm talking about the Nick Fuentes stuff with the let Republicans lose because Democrats deserve to win. What? I guess it's okay to ride with somebody or side with somebody or defend somebody that says Jews, or not Jews, that the Muslims did what they had to do on 9/11, that whether provoked or not, we deserved it.
Let me ask you about some news that we are learning this morning. Local outlets reporting that you spoke to former President Barack Obama on the phone. I know you're not going to give me every detail of the call, but what was the crux of his message to you, Dr. Al-Sayed?
He's not
Kristen,
really a
I like
doctor.
to keep private conversations private, but it was a really warm and inspiring conversation. I got to be honest with you, I never saw myself ever able to run for public office. I literally told former President Bill Clinton that at my college graduation, in which I was the senior speaker and he was the main speaker. And I then watched the next year Barack Hussein Obama run for and win the presidency. I watched him serve with a level of class, a level of elegance that we could only pine for now. So I really enjoyed the conversation. I was grateful for his advice. It was very warm, very inviting. And I know that he knows the critical role that Michigan is going to play in holding Trump accountable, in winning back the Senate, and in building forward the future that we need.
Furry Grizzly said, Jeremy, you sound like my niece.
Swish this liquid in your
Hold
mouth
on.
before.
You sound like my niece. She said should pay for everything. She also thinks working 8 hours a week is full time. 8 hours a week? You say that she thinks working 8 hours a week is full time? Yeah, Eli, these are from the same people that think that we shouldn't have a 40-hour work week, that we should have a 32-hour work week. You know, because 40 is too hard. I know you work 60, Eli, but we're going to go down to 35.
I mean, on the surface, I wouldn't complain, but I sure as shit wouldn't be getting paid the same. Everybody needs to get that work mentality back in their head, or 41st time.
Aaron, I got to tell you, in the Rumble chat, sometimes you say some of the dumbest things. Some things that don't even deserve to be responded to, so I won't. I'll just keep going. Now, what I liked about this is the White House sharing an Abdul Rahman Mohammed Al-Sayed highlight. You know, kind of help Mike Rogers out a little bit, where he talks about defunding the police, transforming the Supreme Court, having a wealth tax, abolishing ICE, impeaching Trump, getting rid of government agencies, getting rid of the police altogether and law enforcement altogether. This is the White House put this out, and clever. Now, people on the left, because they have nothing else, this is what they'll say. Well, Donald Trump's scared of Al-Sayed. No, he's going to beat him before the election even happens. That's what he's going to do. Donald Trump is going to beat the Islam off his political future. And by the time he goes to run against Mike Rogers, he'll be nothing but the dirt in which he belongs in. Because he's that much of a scumbag, anti-American, communist Muslim. And every single one of them deserve to be pushed out of this nation if that's what they're following and their allegiance isn't to the United States, the flag, and what we stand for.
That we do need to defund the police.
I actually believe in court reform, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
In Supreme Court reform. Every president should get 3 appointments. You can either use your appointment to give somebody who's on the court a second 10-year term and limit everybody's terms to 10 years, or you can include somebody else. Would that expand the court? Sure. But there's nothing in the Constitution that says that there have to be 9 justices.
And like the things that I actually look at on Instagram, right? Of course, we get served that on your For You page. But then like every third video that scrolls on its own is going to be some OnlyFans model.
I think the foundational issue here is we need to start taxing billionaire wealth.
right? And when you tax billionaire wealth, you disincentivize the accumulation of wealth. If you cannot stand for trans rights, do not be surprised when they come for your rights. I look forward to pushing forward legislation that would preempt localities from participating with ICE. We've also got to make sure that in this state, we are not discriminating by documentation status. Right now, if you're undocumented, you don't get access to a driver's license, so you're stuck. You don't get access to a lot of the basic things the state offers everybody else. And I think that's ridiculous.
Stop. Eli, he just said you don't get driver's license if you're an illegal alien. Tell me then how all those illegal aliens kill people on the road with CDL driver's license. Not even regular driver's license, CDLs. How did they get them if they can't read? Do you know how hard a CDL test is to pass for somebody who just comes off the street and says, I want to drive truck? But these people who can't read, can't write, can't talk, can't walk, can't do anything themselves, they got CDL license, so he's clearly a liar there.
Exactly, dude. And the absolute most bullshit, excuse me for saying so, part about that whole thing is there will be people out there that see, he just said that they're not getting licenses, so they're not.
Yep. Never mind the, fact that the Vermont, New York, Illinois, California, they all issue driver's license to illegal aliens. Every sanctuary state, every sanctuary city. That's how they're able to vote.
Ridiculous. And so we've got to stop discriminating that way.
There is no reforming. There is no retraining. There is only abolishing ICE.
Fuck ICE.
That you can't reform ICE. You can't retrain ICE. You have to abolish ICE.
It was a bad experiment. It's been weaponized to do the worst things. And I think we need to abolish it and start from scratch.
So a Muslim whose allegiance is to the Muslim Brotherhood and the Quran, he's allowed to say we have to abolish ICE and get rid of it. But we're not allowed to say we should abolish Islam and get rid of it? You say ICE kills people, Islam kills way more. You say ICE corrupts people, Islam corrupts way more. You say everywhere ICE goes, something bad happens. Huh! Huh!
I think he should be impeached. I do not think he should be president of the United States. I think he's done impeachable things. Obviously, as a future senator, I'm not in a position to impeach. But when they make the case about the impeachable things I have seen with my own eyes, I will vote accordingly.
So do you think that the Israeli government should be considered by the U.S. as a foreign terrorist organization?
It's certainly a rogue state.
You're not going to play the gotcha game, but you're not going to say you think Israel has a right.
Well, the truth of the matter is that these wildfires are happening more often because it's drier and hotter than it has been in the past. It's drier and hotter because we continue to rely on fossil fuels for our energy. We need to get to 100% renewable energy. Number one, put as much sand in the gears into what Donald Trump and his acolytes are doing. And number two, build the conversation with the American public that gets us to the after Trump foundation.
What do you tell those people about whether or not this is a pie-in-the-sky dream that you're going around Michigan talking about?
Well, clearly I'm a different kind of Democrat.
Oh, yeah, you are. You are clearly a different kind of Democrat. Eli, 3 things that we could abolish in this country to make the country immediately better the next day. Illegal aliens, the IRS, and Muslims.
Sounds good to me. Should have been done a long time ago.
Donald Trump's trying to get rid of 2 of them. Why he's not trying to get rid of Islam, I don't know. Again, if you read any of the hadiths, if you read any of the surahs, if you read any of the Quran at all in length, read 20 pages of any part of the Quran, and you'll go, this isn't a peaceful, loving religion. Again, why isn't there a war between Christians and Hindus and Jews and Hindus and Hindus and Christians and Jews and what's the other one? Buddhists. Why isn't there any problem between them? Tommy Land said, Jeremy, you forgot one, Congress. No, I think we need Congress. I think we just need a functioning Congress. I think we need representation. That's what gives us a constitutional republic. I just think we need a functioning one. Ann says, MAGA influencers are protesting this shit. Yeah. And stupid young little girls like you are swallowing it. Because you love it. Regurgitating it and swallowing more. You should spit that out. It's not doing you any good. Just saying. Right? Now, AOC. AOC refuses to condemn Hassan Piker, which is the new Joe Rogan of the left, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how that is. He doesn't have that big of a following, but he is making the most noise. And the squeaky wheel does get some grease every now and then. Here's AOC refusing to condemn it.
Who's been made an issue is Hassan Piker, who obviously endorsed Abdul Syed in Michigan. You've been on his live stream, at least a few times. He's somebody who said, that America deserved 9/11. Now he backed off from that.
Yes, he's apologized.
But he said a lot of controversial things. Is he somebody that should have a role in the progressive movement going forward?
I think when we look at our elections that have happened, we have lost young people. Much hay was made about the fact that we lost young men in the last election. And many of the same consultants that are wringing their hands today were the same ones talking about how we need to go on Joe Rogan and we need to be not so, willing to engage in cancel culture. And I think that the flip-flopping on this is a tactical debate that they may be having. I think the fact of the matter is that Democrats can go on Joe Rogan, Democrats can go on Fox News, Democrats have a responsibility to build a winning coalition, and young people are engaging in mediums and conversations that we have a responsibility to attend to and be responsive to. And even right now, when we look at this insurgent wave of what is happening, oftentimes when people are doing that Monday morning quarterbacking and what demographics voted where, the big one that's being ignored is the generational tidal wave.
You see it in the polling. It is significant.
Millennials are not, punk kids anymore.
Yeah.
We're grown adults with mortgages and kids, and that generation is starting to be decisive at the polls, and there is anger at being ignored, sidelined, having our economic futures mortgaged by the...
You know where else there's anger? Sitting on the sidelines and watching somebody steal in a national election and nobody doing anything about it. That also facilitates some anger. Is it okay to have January 6th then, I guess?
Generations that came before us on everything from the economy to climate.
Nice to know.
And we're taking the reins.
So,
Jason on Rumble, I got to disagree with you on that one, brother. Jason on Rumble said she needs to be raped on live TV. No, she does not need to be raped. Period. Again, I don't know what would possess somebody to say something like that. Like, look, I can't stand the left. Almost hate some people over there. But Eli, I don't think I could ever say she needs to be raped on live TV. What a disgusting comment that is. I pray that you don't really mean that and you're just saying some stuff off the cuff.
That's absolutely sick, disgusting. Nothing infuriates me any more than that disgusting act against someone. Nobody deserves it. I don't care how evil they are. Don't say things like that. That's friggin' gross.
Absolutely. What a disgusting thing to say. I'll kindly ask you not to make comments like that on the Rumble page, or else you'll have to be muted. That's disgusting, and you should repent for saying that. Eli, I'll bet you on the people on the left will still say, oh, he's silencing his own audience. Whatever, dude. We're not going to let anybody say stuff like that. That's disgusting. T-Man said, I don't like her, but that's not good. Hell no, that's not good. Tammy says, Jason, you're disgusting for that. Violence as an answer is low IQ, said CC. Denise said, that's a very inappropriate thing to say. JJ said, Jeremy, it must be a child. I doubt it. I doubt it. Yeah, that was here on Rumble, folks. Just so you know. Definitely need to apologize and repent for that one. Not to me. But to God, that's a disgusting thing to say. I can't even believe that I just read somebody say that. Wow. Eli, the left over there saying, you're mocking them, so you're inciting it. That's why you believe that January 6th is somebody's fault, because people incited it by saying the election was stolen. That's how stupid you are, too. I don't know who's more dumb, you, Ann, or Jason over on Rumble. I don't know which one is more dumb. What a stupid statement that you just made. Anyway, I'm done with stupidity, Eli. Gonna move on. What's up?
Absolutely, and Jason did apologize in there. Apology accepted. Again, still a really gross thing to say, but the reason people say things like that, and I'm not saying this was why you said it, we've been desensitized to this crap. It just made me think of that New York City subway where the woman was getting raped on the platform, and people just walked by like it was a friggin' art performance that they had no interest in. It's in movies, it's in TV shows, it's suggested, it's in music, it's in rap music all the time, and we're being desensitized to this crap.
Yep. No, I agree. Hey, at least he apologized. That's step number one, right? I know, look, I say some things I don't mean all the time. I never say anything like that, but I'm not you, and I don't know where yours is coming from. He's saying that Muslims rape people all the time. You're absolutely right, they do. They do, but two wrongs don't make a right there. But I will say, AOC, she's a little weird. She films herself injecting hormones and discussing freezing her eggs. This is news these days, I guess.
Don't be weird about this, even though I know all of you will be. All right, everyone. Deco and I, day one of freezing my eggs.
What?
I'm diving into the process, and now I've got, let's see, all of this medicine here. I'm going to inject this first, but I got a pro tip from a friend because this injection kind of stings. It kind of burns a little bit. So a friend of mine told me that if you make the first injection first and let it sit while you're doing everything else, maybe it burns a little less. I don't know. But obviously I'm not doing this on live right now. Could you imagine? I didn't want to distract myself too much by being on live because I'm injecting myself with things. Maybe later. Maybe if I become a pro at this, I'll do that. Maybe I should start an ASMR egg freezing channel. I think they banned those on YouTube.
Yeah, they want her to be president.
This is the powder, so I'm basically dissolving this powder. Oh, I prepare this. All right. Don't be weird about this.
What?
Even though I know all of you will be. Okay.
That dog's like... I don't understand.
That wasn't so bad.
I don't understand any of this. I do understand that they want her to be president of the United States of America. The left does. I also understand that she's got the biggest chance on Polymarket and Kalshi of being the Democrat nominee for president in 2028. When asked about it even this weekend, she says, right now I'm focused on my race for the midterms. Somebody says, that's not news. Stop. No, but you know what will be news? When she's the Democratic nominee for president. And we have all of this stuff in archive. Then it will be news. Eli, so we're preemptively getting ready.
I see that as just encouraging all the dipshit liberals that follow that asshat to, I don't know, freeze their eggs so they can't get pregnant, so that we're still lowering the birth rate of legal American citizens.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something right now. That was bullshit. Just like Biden didn't get the shot, he got a COVID shot. They gave him a placebo. Whatever the hell she did, that was Hollywood. Hollywood magic. That's all it was. She didn't do it, and neither the frick should you.
Well, it's funny, Elias. I'm not a, woman, although I could be in playing the WNBA these days, I guess. But women in the live chat are saying that's not even where you do it at. It's not even where you would inject yourself at. I mean, I don't know. But I think women would know, and multiple people have said that.
There you go. There you go. You got this numbnut on here. Oh, stick his name and freeze my eggs. On second thought, stopping liberal women from having babies, I don't know. I'm torn now. It might not be a bad idea.
M. Bruno said, wait, don't presidents need to be married? No, you just gotta have a facade of a good family. I'm sure most presidents don't have, I'm sure most presidents probably have dysfunctional families like everybody, but it just helps out better when you are a heterosexual couple with children and you have a dog and all that stuff or whatever. It makes it look good, but no, one of the requirements is not being married.
I was looking through the DSA program, and this is the national program. I'm sure you've seen the document. It was adopted just a few months ago. But some of the positions here: defund the Department of Defense, close overseas military bases, abolish the police and prison system, grant amnesty to all immigrants in the U.S., replace the Supreme Court and executive judiciary with a chosen by lower to Congress, abolish the Senate, public ownership of corporations and essential industries. I mean, those are some positions that you're going to be hearing a lot about this fall from Republicans.
And I think we're also going to be hearing a lot about Donald Trump's commitment to getting us into a reckless war in Iran. His collaboration with big companies to make sure that everything from groceries to rent stay sky high. And I think that people are less interested in these academic debates, and they're more interested in how we're going to bring their bills down and make sure that they can afford to see a doctor.
Projection much? How are you going to handle this? How are you going to do that? Well, the first thing we got to do is these Republicans. It's just like, oh my God. When you ask a Republican what they want to do, as part of their agenda to make things better, they actually give you an answer. We would like to lower costs, do this. Okay, good. How do you plan on doing that? What is your plan to do that? 9 times out of 10, they have a plan. Sometimes they don't. But no times do Democrats have a plan. Eli, have you heard a plan other than get rid of Donald Trump on the Democrat side anywhere? Lower prices and get rid of Donald Trump and restore humanity. Okay, how are you going to do that?
Exactly. It's like I've said from the very start. They get up, they might have some breakfast, they throw their dipshit suit on, they go down to Congress, and Donald Trump is a horrible person, and we need to get him out of office so that we can fix this country. Donald Trump. Cool. We understand that you don't like Trump. What are you going to do to fix the problem? Oh, Donald Trump is a horrible person. Okay.
Yep. Like William said in Rumble, everything is always Donald Trump's fault, isn't it? Always. In this video that you're about to see, now, there's actually 3 people, Eli, in the front running for future Democratic nomination, okay? They've got AOC tops the poll, actually. That's who most people think are going to be the next nominee from the Democrat Party, is AOC. But Kamala Harris is back in there, number 1. And Gavin Newsom is in there. So Pete Buttigieg is also in there. So whatever poll you look at, your top 4 are Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Kamala Harris. Not one of them beats J.D. Vance. Not one of them beats Marco Rubio. Neither one. But I will gladly watch Kamala Harris run again. Watch this DSA co-chair as she delivers a Kamala Harris word salad as you would only expect the Democratic Socialists of America. Like the last guy who said, we'd had enough with American imperialism, so we left our country and moved to America.
Open borders. I think to a lot of ears it sounds like a John Lennon song. not a political reality.
Well, John Lennon was very popular.
Yeah.
I think
she probably likes the other Lennon better.
Again, all of these policy points, they're all part of this long-term goal where we are putting huge amounts of resources into alleviating poverty, into stopping destabilization of countries internationally that are causing huge migrant flow. But, most people in the U.S. are here because of a prior period of unrestricted immigration or of much looser immigration. We're not saying throw the gates open. We're saying let's do that. Let's look at where this system is really flawed, really problematic.
I think that's called immigration reform.
It is, but we think that you have to look at all of these things from first principles, right? We started here from first principles. So what do we want out of an immigration system? Let's start there. That doesn't mean thinking from just throwing open the borders and then building from the ground up. It means reforming the system we have while we rethink the system, while we build this new one from the ground up, and then hopefully eventually flipping the switch.
To open the borders? So you're not happy with a closed border system? By the way, we still have 1.5 million legal immigrants who come into this country every year. 1.5 million. So what do you mean by then turn on the switch? What does that mean? Somebody on YouTube asks, what are your policies? Pertaining to what? Pertaining to the border? Policies pretty much enacted right now. Love that. Love that. What else? What else? Trade agreements? Tariffs on anybody who doesn't agree to the deal that we want, because we're in charge. You might not like that, but that's the case. We're the largest consumers on Earth. We have the largest economy on Earth. We have the largest military on Earth. If you want to play, you're going to pay. So tariffs on anybody who doesn't give us the deals that we want until they do. And then if they don't, abolish the IRS and pay for it with tariffs, outside tariffs like we used to. Trust me, everybody wants to play in America's market. Nobody's going to say no. Everybody's going to come to a deal. What else? Anything else? Is there any other policies? How about policing? Law enforcement. Follow the law. Those who don't, accountability. They will be reformed or they won't. Illegal aliens, deport every single one that's here on an overstayed visa or the worst of the worst. Every single one of them. Every single one. Go after Islam for aligning itself under the using our own freedoms to hide itself and become a Trojan horse into this country, meaning freedom of religion. Well, what constitutes being a religion? Can I be a religion tomorrow? Can I start one tomorrow? What do I got to do? What do I have to do? Because there's no religion that threatens the safety of this country like Islam. What else? Anything else? Email line is open for any other questions. Going to go to a quick break, and we will be right back after we say thank you to our sponsors. Number one, Armor Colostrum. You know what the great thing about these sponsors are? Hey, Aaron, one thing's for sure, you're not going to win. That's for sure. And Rumble. Aaron, I'm talking to you. Aaron, 1982. One thing is for sure, you're not going to win. And somebody that you want is not going to win. So, you can keep crying about it. The good thing about our sponsors is they don't care about people trying to get us canceled. They know who we are. They're very happy to be aligned with people who actually work hard and, actually spend money and make it to make the world go round, rather than complaining that they don't have it and crying about it for you to give to them, like the socialists. And Armor Colostrum is one of those great companies. Not only is Armor Colostrum a great company that sees value in actual people that make the world go round and none in the people that just do nothing, but it's also absolutely amazing for your health, regardless of which political aisle you belong to. Why? Because it's the only supplement in the world that gives you 400 plus bionutrients that you get from colostrum. Colostrum is a very unique nutrient, and it's the same nutrients that we get when we're born through mother's milk, unless you were a Democrat and you were, aborted, or a Democrat who aborted somebody and then you don't give them any milk. But this is grass-fed colostrum, ladies and gentlemen. Armor Colostrum. Grass-fed colostrum that you can get $18 off your first order if you go to armor.com/LFATV. That's armor.com/LFATV. armor.com/LFATV. One more time, we'll put it on the screen here for you to make it easy for you and even the people on the left. If you can read, armor.com/LFATV. That's armor.com/LFATV. True Patriot says Armor Colostrum literally advertises to commie MSDNC. They don't give a crap who the audience is, Jeremy. No, they don't. And that's what I like about them. They understand that people are either going to buy or they're not. And that's what I like about them. Armor.com/LFATV. Second, I'd like to give a big shout out to Fatty 15. Fatty 15 is another supplement, folks, that, there it is right there. There it is right there, ladies and gentlemen. Metabolic health, cognitive health, immune response, liver health, and red blood cell health. If any of those are something that you think that you might want to improve on, then let C15, which is an essential fatty acid that your body absolutely needs to run on top level. And if you don't, look, I'm not a doctor, but all you have to do is go do some research on C15 and it'll tell you everything. Fatty 15, fatty.com/LFA. That is Fatty 15. And we're going to put this up on the screen again, just like we did the last time. Make it easy for you. Thank you very much. There it is right there. Fatty15.com, promo code LFA. Dr. Dizzy says, I'm late. Sorry I'm late, Jeremy. I can't get home before lunch at 12. That's all right. How you doing, Dr. Dizzle Baby? Good to see you. Appreciate you being here. Melly says, oh, by the way, thank you, Fatty15. We really appreciate your sponsorship. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, it is C15 is an essential fatty acid that changes the way your cells age and you do live longer because of Fatty 15. So check out that essential fatty acid, do some research on it, where it came from, how it was developed, and what it does. And I'll help you out. See, okay, I'm just telling awful, terrible jokes about Muslim Islamists, the Quran. I simply don't care. So the next joke is just a joke. There's no Muslim in my workplace. Had to clear that out, said Melly. I wouldn't care if there is one in your workplace. It's about time they hear it. It's about time. Look, certain people need to be discriminated against. The left thinks that MAGA needs to be discriminated against. Do they not? Do they not? If you ask anybody on the left, if I were to go to YouTube right now and say, do you want to 8647? They would say, absolutely. And every one of you idiots who believe in it. There you go. There you go. They think the same thing. They just think that about us. That's all. So, yeah. Good job, Melly. All right. Where did we leave off here? Did we leave off talking about illegal aliens? Is that where we were? Or crazy Democrats? Oh, how about a little of both? How about deep red Mississippi hands a black robe judge seat to a full hijab Yemeni immigration attorney who guides illegal aliens to citizenship paths. Here she is. That's your new judge in Mississippi, folks. Sophie says, Jeremy, we've been bashed for years. Now it's our turn. Absolutely. And no shame either. We don't care. We do not care. We don't care what the left says. We don't care what the Muslims say. We just don't care. Those days are done. And now you can't handle it, can you? I love the way that... Anne, thank you for keeping the watch on YouTube. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. She said the whole world can't all be wrong. Well, you are. You are. And this is wrong here, too. This is wrong here, too, because her allegiance is not to the Constitution. It can't be. Your allegiance can't be to the Quran and the Constitution. It can't be. Where your allegiance can be to the Bible and the Constitution, because literally the founding fathers that wrote the Constitution, that wrote the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers, the Declaration of Independence, all took their cues from the basic instructions before leaving Earth. If you don't believe me, look at your money. Look at Congress. Just look at the writings of the founding fathers. You cannot serve the Constitution and at the same time be a Muslim, while you can serve the Constitution at the same time be a Christian. That's the difference. Take it up with the founding fathers, not us. And there's a reason why. Mississippi conservatives are demanding answers after Ridgeland immigration attorney Asma Al-Ali announced that she had been selected to serve as a municipal court judge, a history-making appointment celebrated by supporters as the first of its kind for a Yemeni-American Muslim woman who wears a hijab. I wouldn't stand up in her court. I wouldn't stand up in her. Eli, when you walk in, she go, all rise. I'm not rising. It's my constitutional right not to do that. You can't make me. And if you want to hold me in contempt, hold me in contempt. I don't respect your hijab. Amy Meck, founder and editor-chief of RAIR, Rare Foundation Like Care, pushed the controversy under the national spotlight, accusing red state officials of surrendering a final firewall and arguing that Ali's immigration work and political associations deserve scrutiny. Let me ask you, what do you think? Anybody live in Mississippi? We have any residents of the great state of Mississippi in here? Anybody think that's okay? Carl said they are not for the Constitution. No, they're not. Sherry, in answer to your question, alcohol does some crazy things to people. That's all I can say. That's why I absolutely loved what Nancy Mace said about hijabs and little girls and what it does and what it is. And I'm glad she wasn't afraid to say it either. It's about time we get more people standing up saying
online.
this.
A few days ago, you wrote, quote, every single Muslim holding public office in America is a Trojan horse.
Yes.
And a threat to both national security and our republic. And then today you essentially added, if not wanting to be blown up, stabbed, or rammed by a car by a radical Islamist in the United States of America makes us Islamophobes, then so be it. Are you saying that anyone who is Muslim is a threat to this country?
That's not what I said.
I'll say
that's
that.
not what I said. Number one, I think we do have a real issue with radical
I mean, it sounds
Islamic
like that's what you're saying.
behavior. No, I was talking about elected officials. When you look at what has just happened.
So
in
any
the last
Muslim
couple of
elected
months-
officials, sorry to cut you off, but just to be clear, any elected
Yes,
Muslim
elected
officials?
Mamdani campaigned with an unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombings. You have Abdul Syed, who was campaigning with Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. Yes, we should be very concerned.
He said he regretted
about
those comments,
people
but I take your
being
point.
radical, but that believe in this radical Islam ideology where women are covered head to toe. It's very oppressive, where we've seen grooming gangs over
But
in
Congresswoman,
Europe,
there's no
rape
indication
underage girls.
that Mayor Mamdani has brought any of those ideals to New York City governance, or that just being Muslim allows you, brings those in.
If you're playing footsie with an imam here in America who's an unindicted co-conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombings, yeah, we have a real problem with that kind of ideology.
But Congresswoman, when you make a
seeping into
blanket
government,
statement like that, it implies that every Muslim member of Congress or leadership, folks who, by the way, are elected by American citizens.
I am deeply concerned about Michigan Democrats nominating a guy hanging out with Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11, who has a framed photo of the Twin
Which he's
Towers
responded
being
to and says he
blown
regrets
up.
those comments. But yes, keep going.
Yeah, but I mean, this is who he's hanging out with, this kind of person who's promoting, communist ideology. This is not something, America's not built on those values. And in the future, when our granddaughters are wearing burqas to school, we're going to look
There's
back
no
and say,
indication that
"How
that
did
is
this happen?"
happening on a wide basis. Folks that are getting
Have
into
you seen,
office.
Did you see the parade in Chicago today? Have you seen Dearborn? In Dearborn,
An
Michigan,
expression of
one the
culture,
mayors in
Congresswoman, is
Michigan
different than a
is gonna
blanket
hold a
city
parade.
policy.
It's the guy complaining about the call to prayer 5 times a day. They're trying to push these people out and our values out, and that's wrong. And I think this is a conversation that we have to have. What are our values and what do they look like? I don't want to hear the call to prayer 5 times a day in an American city. I think
if you
that's
don't want to
wrong.
hear
It's
it,
not our
that's okay.
values.
The First Amendment, protects from freedom of religion. If you don't want to hear it, fine. I grew up in a Christian household. I grew up in the South. Islam is not my religion, but I have Muslim friends who, if that is how they worship, even if I don't want to hear it, that is their right to hear.
In the privacy of their own mosque or their own home, not on the streets of America. I think that we're speaking a very different vibe
If it's an
here.
expression,
We shouldn't be having that kind of thing going on. And if you look at the parades that are happening, I look at the women who are covered head to toe with little slits for their eyes. As a woman, that's scary
but you're
to
not
me.
being,
that is
that's not
coming
being
to our
forced on
cities,
you,
our-
Congresswoman.
No, but it's being forced on those women. If you're going to ask her a question, let her answer the question. Eli, imagine what these people would do if worship music, Christian worship music, was played over those same loudspeakers for the whole entire city to hear. As a matter of fact, how fast do you think it would be before the Muslims started burning the city down? You know, these great people that you're talking about? Play worship music, Christian worship music in a Muslim area where they're playing these calls to Mecca and Medina 5 times a day. Play Christian music. Run to the Father, I'm all out of grace. Watch how fast the Muslims that you are defending burn that city down.
Yeah. And by the way, asshole, it's not being pushed on you. You didn't finish the sentence. It's not being pushed on you yet. Why don't you go ask England how they're doing with women walking around who get rocks thrown at their head because they're showing a little too much skin?
Yep.
Shut up, scumbag. Let her finish her statement, and then maybe it wouldn't sound like a blanket statement if you kept friggin' interrupting her every 10 seconds. It is coming here. They're trying to push for Sharia law so that they can do whatever the F they want over here, and you know it, you little scumbag.
They're saying it. It's not fear porn. They're saying it. They've said it. Not the people that are running for election, not that at that moment, but past videos where they said, yes, Sharia laws, it should be the law of the land, and someday it will be the law everywhere because Allah, praise Allah, Allah. Yes. Just look at everywhere they bend. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to Eli. Just look. How hard is it to just look and see what they've done? Flock cameras. We told you we were going to talk about flock cameras, so let's do that. Thank you for the donations on Rumble, guys. Really appreciate you. 5 police officers arrested and fired after abusing flock camera surveillance cameras. This was what we talked about. Is it illegal to film in public? Nope. Matter of fact, the Supreme Court's already laid that out there. Anything that your camera can see in public, you can film. Even the inside of somebody's car. You have no right of privacy outside of your home. It's that simple. Or a bathroom somewhere. Or do not have the expectation of privacy. But we said it's what they do with that information that makes it illegal or not. It's what they do with flock cameras. You think that they really want flock cameras out there to keep you safe? No. They want flock cameras so they can track everybody, everywhere, who's done anything that where they go, what state they were in. To me, that violates free movement. To me, that violates the right to a pursuit of happiness because you constantly have Big Brother over you watching you. Not that these are any different, by the way, though. I don't understand why everybody's so mad at flock cameras, but they're not mad at these. I'm mad at flock cameras, and I'm mad at these tracking you. But again, it's like the data centers. You want to be a world with no cell phone? You want to be a country with no cell phones? How fast you think you become, Cambodia or Haiti or Somalia? It's what they do with the information that should be scrutinized. 5 officers with the Albany Police Department in Georgia were arrested and fired after allegedly abusing flock cameras. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations revealed in a July 6th release that the officers were charged with misuse of license plate data and violation of oath of office. The Albany Police Department had conducted an internal audit of the flock cameras, which automatically read license plates and capture other vehicle details such as color, make, and model. The audit revealed that the officers previously accessed the flock system on multiple occasions and utilized the retained license plate data for non-law enforcement purposes. Thank you, William, for the Fun Day Monday donation. Appreciate that. That's what's wrong with these flock cameras. Now I want to show you a video before we go. Saw this video last week. Wanted to share it with you. Similar to what we're talking about right now, but this is how they can not only be abused, but used for nefarious purposes and lie. And I think this guy's got a great point. Watch this.
I'm going to be a little bit meaner than them, so please don't violate my rights. Normally, I wouldn't come to a city council meeting. I'm one of the county's pains in the ass. Historically, I stay out of the city and the city stays out of my business. It was a pretty decent arrangement. But then y'all sent me one of these tickets from one of your AI red light cameras you have deemed as necessary infrastructure in your city. Thing about this is I was in Seminole, Alabama at the time I allegedly ran this red light downtown. How can I be in two places at once, you ask? Don't worry, I asked myself that too. Outside of Scotty beaming me up 30 miles in an instant, the only logical conclusion is I wasn't there. These things have been deemed unconstitutional for this reason, because the enforcement action of 316.0083 unduly shifts the burden of proof to the vehicle owner, me, to prove my innocence rather than the state having to prove my guilt. Currently, I'm guilty by default. I've been convicted by a computer program. Usually this whole mess of who committed the infraction is settled by a police officer pulling somebody over and actually witnessing them in the driver's seat. The AI camera doesn't do any driver verification whatsoever. To get your constitutionally mandated due process, you have to jump through hoops put up by Automated Enforcement Division, a private company in Orlando that's owned by another corporation called Novoa Global, which is owned by a Chilean-Swedish millionaire named Carlos Hofstedt. So not only does this process flow through a private company, our DMV records and personal registration information are accessible by a foreign actor. But anyway, AED sends you this paper, and if you want to fight this thing because you are wrongfully accused, me again, you can't just request a hearing through PPD or the courthouse. Remember, Carlos is involved, so if you have to go through his company, his website, print off his paper, fill it out with enough information to take out a home loan, have it notarized, mail it to the foreign actor, Carlos in Orlando, and then wait for something from someone to tell you about a hearing. This is undue burden even to begin to try to get some kind of due process. Paying is super easy though, go figure. And about that, you can't pay cash. PPD doesn't accept it, and neither does Carlos. According to 31 U.S.C. 5103, all U.S. currency and coins must be accepted for all government obligations, fines, fees, taxes, and due. So not only does this whole thing violate constitutional due process, it violates federal law by not accepting U.S. currency to satisfy a government action. Whoever thought this was a good idea is a self-loathing, America-hating, bureaucratic hobgoblin whose pockets probably got stacked with Carlos bucks. You got my attention, though. I'm going to become a more frequent voice down here working to expose frauds and petty tyrants. Congratulations, you all got yourselves a new pain in the ass.
Love that guy. That's how you say it. That's what you do. That's how you take it to a city board or wherever. That's exactly what you do, and he's exactly right. 100%. Now, for those people out there saying, flock cameras are great, though, because they help find kidnapped individuals. Well, let me ask you this. Are there more kidnapped individuals in the world that need saving, or more people driving every day just going to work and going about their day? Tell me. And I'll play this to end the show before Will Johnson, because I know how much the left loves it. Ready?
So we're here to celebrate with the president the Freedom Haulers Initiative, and we're appreciative to the Trump administration for this initiative that will make it easier for veterans to transition out of military service and into the trucking industry.
I've been working for UPS for 35 years. I served in the Maryland Army National Guard for 6 years. Truck driving is a great industry to go to, especially coming out of the military. If you can drive the big rigs in the military, you can do it out here. And thank you, President Trump, for helping veterans like me.
This really addresses two critical issues in trucking. One, of course, is the employability of our veterans. But secondly, this is really another step that the Trump administration has been taking in securing the safety of our roadways. We are seeing this active involvement of the administration in taking bad actors off the road and now replacing them with our phenomenal veterans.
When I served in the Army, I actually served as an 88 mic truck driver. So it's really encouraging for me today to see the administration making a clearer and easier pathway for veterans to be able to get high-paying jobs in the trucking industries.
Veterans and trucking are a great fit. Veterans tend to be mission-minded, focused on the team, focused on the safety of others.
I spent 10.5 years in the Marine Corps. I've been truck driving for 29 years now. I'd like to thank the president and everything he's doing for veterans. It's really made a difference.
Thank you, President Trump, for giving us the opportunity and having this program, giving the veterans the opportunity to be able to transition from off the battlefield.
If I can drive a truck like this, then I should be able to drive a truck for FedEx. I would like to say thank you very much, Mr. President, for inviting me here today in order to celebrate such a historic event.
Mr. President, what do you want me to do?
He said, just take care of my veterans. So every day now, since the last year and a half, veterans at the VA are first and only in what we do.
Thank you, Mr. President, for caring about our veterans, and not only at the VAs, but also getting illegal aliens out of behind the CDL licensed vehicles and putting veterans in. Hey, I'd like to thank everybody on Rumble. I'd also like to thank everybody over on YouTube. Thank you for being here with me today. You don't have to leave. Will Johnson is coming up next, as you can see on the side-by-side on your screen. He's going to be here in, well, a minute and a half. So there are right ways and there are wrong ways. There's only one Yahweh. So stand up tall. Keep your shoulders back. Keep your chest out. Keep your head up high, because you are a child of God, and no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. Keep your family, your friends, and your pets close, especially if you're living in Springfield, Ohio, where they eat the cats and they eat the dogs. Never stop fighting for this constitutional republic, and never, ever, ever stop sharing the actual gospel from an actual Savior, from an actual God. God bless you guys. Have a great day. Will Johnson comes up next. Peace.
The armor of God now. I wear the armor of God now. Great birth of America. Been a long time coming, and we all learned something that we won't ever give it up. No way. Long as I'm bleeding, I'ma never stop screaming that we first in America.